Martin the Martian-Fitzwater, 4th place at the 2024 Olympia, 5th place at the 2025 Olympia just last month, and winner of the Prague Pro, beating the previous Mr. Olympia champion Samson Dauda.
I did implement some peptides this prep that I've never done before. I use every morning. I also use both of those made a pretty good difference, because one thing I started to notice about the last 2-3 weeks, the next day, start in the morning, it's 10 meals. About 120 carbs every meal. Comes out to like 1,200, 1,400 carbs depending on. I've always done a good bit of glutamine, but this prep, we went above and beyond with that. So I was doing grams a day.
Whoa.
I was doing milligrams 4 times a day. We really saw a drastic difference in that, just in digestion and absorption, and then helped keep inflammation off the gut. If I would take it above 25 milligrams, I was instantly having issues, to the point where when I would poop, you could almost smell the chemical smell. If anything ever comes back bad on my blood work, it's my liver. I think that that's one thing. A lot of guys make the mistake of trying to take too much water out, and then that really slows digestion. You just need to make sure at those final 12 to 14 hours that we were a little bit worried on, like, should we introduce carbs, because we haven't had carbs for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Like actually no carbs?
I was doing pro veg, that's it, bro. We were pushing it and it was hard. I was actually hungry this year for the first time in many years. I knew that it was all to come in with this conditioning that would make guys like you really appreciate it and go, damn, Marty did something different. I actually used this prep instead of Trent. The best I've ever felt. The minimal side effects, but also the all fish diet. The reason that actually thins your skin, you have to be on for that to work. Collagen degradation. It kills collagen type 2 and type 3. Fish only has type 1 in it. It's not super effective multiple weeks in a row, because what you're doing is just pulling stuff off the receptor to then it be replaced with. So unless you're taking a decent bit of oral, there's no reason to take.
How does it feel to have beat 5 past Mr. Olympia champs? Before starting this podcast, I just wanted to say that ideating steroids for a full show is not widely accepted because it discounts the real work, which is the backbone of this sport, and unfortunately spreads that an unsafe chemical solution is all you need for results. Both of these are antithetical to society's understanding of the sport, and while there will always be some that claim that PEDs are all you need, I would like to deliver an honest message of what is required for achieving top performance, as well as the dangers associated with this route. I received this comment from a user named Nightscarens. But just as a rock climber, the athletes undergoing this path in the sport are willing to put their life on the line for their passion. Just the danger between the two sports is different. Luckily, we do have safety nets in the sport, such as organ imaging and regular blood work. But that doesn't change the high risk one must accept in taking on this competitive lifestyle.
Soup looks fucking beautiful, bro.
I love to cook, bro. So like, my dad was like always had the cooking channel on when I was growing up.
Uh-huh.
And so like I know how to make like everything, and then she's just like, I want beef and vegetable soup. I'm sick. I'm like, all right. So I'll just go to the store and buy all this stuff and make it from scratch.
We need to wife you up. Shit.
It's weird. Like I've always loved to cook even since I was a kid. So
Yeah. Did you does she cook too or not?
yeah, she's more of like the baker. So she does like she makes homemade sourdough and all that stuff, and like the cookies and stuff. And I usually do like the meats and the proteins and stuff like that.
Bro, I feel like that's my love language, is to receive baked goods. Back when Lexi was making me some baked stuff, especially the protein baked shit, like she'd make these protein donuts, dude. Oh, that was like, that's like how I knew.
Yeah, Alexis doesn't do any like protein stuff. She just does like, it's all clean though. So it's like sourdough. She does like everything bagels. She makes homemade English muffins. Like it's all shit that I can actually eat on prep, you know, which is nice. So like, I eat her bread all the way until like probably about like 4 weeks out, and then I'll kind of cut it just because it kind of slows digestion a little bit. But otherwise, I run it all the time.
That fucking sourdough bread though is underrated. I think it's a little even more underrated in the bodybuilding industry. Freaking Jordan Hutchinson was telling me.
Yeah, it's like catchy. I see it's like
Oh
starting
yeah.
to catch a little wave, but it's like you said, it's definitely underrated. Like, I mean, fermentation of any food generally makes it digest better. So it's like bread's kind of hard to digest. So if you can already start that process in some way, which the sourdough does, you know, that makes a huge benefit.
Yeah,
So.
after I was talking to Chris Tuttle about what he does and stuff, now I'm starting to be like, damn, I need to get on the probiotic and fermented foods with like stop with the whole like
Yeah.
because I never felt like my probiotic supplement really ever did anything, to be honest. I really did feel like I was just wasting money away with that shit.
Yeah, it kind of. It's definitely one of those things. I mean, it's more about feeding the probiotics the right stuff. So, like, when I first got with Boss, one of the things that we did was we implemented my last meal was like 4 cups of Greek yogurt. And it was purely just to create more gut biome for me because he was like, there's no way you should be eating 10,000 calories and like not gaining weight. And I'm like, well, yeah, my metabolism's fast, but you're right. I probably do have somewhat of an absorption issue if we're eating so much food and I'm not assimilating all of it.
How did that help?
So we did that for like 3.5 months, and I felt like it really made digestion better. It was kind of hard to like say like it was a hard line drawn on the sand because also he reduced my protein at the same time, like we talked about in the last podcast, where I went from like 8 ounces of cooked protein per meal to down to like 5.
Wow.
So that also drastically made a huge difference in my digestion as well, you know? So it's kind of like, I couldn't tell you if one was more important than the other. Probably the protein, honestly, was more important than the gut biome.
Mm-hmm.
But then I felt like I was also assimilating, especially like insulin sensitivity wise. I wasn't having to eat 1,000 carbs to get the same kind of pump that I was getting with like 700 carbs or 600 carbs, you know? So
That makes a lot
felt
of sense.
like absorption was definitely a little bit better.
Right. I'm honestly just being a little transparent about this. I haven't even discussed this with him himself. I'm sure I probably will someday, but I get a little nervous when I'm talking to Patrick because, you know, Patrick's so straight and freaking hardcore as shit, you know? But he does try not to feed his clients too much protein. But I do have this, like, maybe I'm just overthinking things, but you know, some of his most monstrous, freakish clients like Nihat and Keon and even Devane, at a certain point, like I could tell, especially during the off seasons, that their guts would start growing just a little bit. And I always felt like, honestly, it was still the protein was still just a little bit high. Like when I try to consume how much protein that Patrick has, it definitely slows down my digestion and the shit gets backed up in there. And then by the next morning, I'm like still a little like bloated and got some flatulence going on. And I'm like, damn, bro, I can't even, like, I'm having a hard time vacuuming and all this shit. So I think pulling it back even just a little bit more would be more optimal, honestly.
Yeah, I would say that. And I would say the other thing is like 99% of bodybuilders are magnesium deficient.
Yeah.
Everything that we do uses magnesium, from transporting different molecules into other molecules, using it for muscle recovery, hydration purposes. Like by the end of your day, you have no magnesium left in your body. So if you're not taking magnesium and pulling water into that digestive tract, it makes it that much harder to assimilate, to break it down, and obviously to excrete it as well. So like something I do implement at the end of prep that's like a non-negotiable for me is like the last, really for me it's like 8 weeks, but I would say like for clients I try to implement it like it lasts 3 weeks at least, an Epsom salt bath every night or every other night if you can make that possible. Yeah, so like the thing is like it's really, really kind of hard on your digestive tract to take as much magnesium as you actually need. Like you'll probably shit yourself, to be honest. Like you'll get diarrhea from yeah, so you'll get diarrhea from taking that much magnesium. So to be able to absorb it, the best way is honestly through the skin. So you can either do Epsom salt baths. There's also some like pump foams that have Epsom salt in them, essentially, that you could just rub on the skin, and also you're going to get it absorbed that way. So like if you don't have a bathtub, that's an option. But I also like to implement it. Like what I do when I had clients, I really don't coach much anymore. But the thing I would implement was like kind of a sleep protocol, higher melatonin, take some GABA maybe if you want to use that, some L-Theanine. Just recently started talking to people about using blue blocker lights, just to make sure that you're, blocking those like UVs and stuff out. It really like helps just calm the brain down a little bit. And then do that Epsom salt bath and drink your magnesium and your night drink and those things and get ready for bed. And that bath is just going to help you be able to relax a little bit more, bring that heart rate down, put you in a like parasympathetic state to where it's like time for bed. And that'll also help, release cortisol and stuff too. It's just like chilling, soaking in a bath. Like, I know it sounds silly, but I love it, man. It's like, it's kind of my zen time at the end of the day every day. So,
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's silly at all, man. I don't think it's talked about enough. Have you ever used it during peak week though to like help you
yeah.
control
So I
the
honestly, what I do, like you've seen my process. So I start tanning on like Tuesday, but I'll run Epsom salt baths because I wash it off every night. I'll run Epsom salt baths usually until around Thursday. And then Friday, when the tan is like staying on the whole time, we don't want to fuck it up. Then that will, usually Thursday is like my last bath, or Wednesday, kind of depending in there. And yeah, man, I mean, it makes such a difference. I've also had to use it like a couple, like wake up in the morning and you're like, oh shit, I'm spilled, back in my amateur days, and like crawled in an Epsom salt bath and was like, all right, we're gonna get this off quick, and we'll fix my tan afterwards. But that's a whole nother story. But I just honestly, man, like the routine of like getting in the bath, as soon as you get out of the bath, it's kind of bedtime. Your body kind of starts to get in that relaxed mode. And it just kind of ends the day in a nice way and just kind of gets you ready for that. Like I said, try, at the end of prep, really the most important thing is making sure cortisol is low. Because like really you're not going to lose body fat or any of those things if your cortisol is crazy, crazy high. So you're going to have to manage that stress. My biggest focus at the end of prep that like takes a hit is generally just my sleep. Everything else recovery wise, like I usually don't lose my appetite unless I completely smash my CNS. I can always train. I'm never like too sore to train, but they're like 6 to 4 weeks out, my sleep starts taking a hit. So that's something that I'm like diligently focused on and like super have my routine of like, these are the things I do. These are the things that have made a big difference. Like another thing I do is I take like anywhere from 60 to 100 milligrams of melatonin, which sounds psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing about melatonin that a lot of people don't know is it's like one of the strongest antioxidants on the planet. So not only is it knocking you out and just essentially like kickstarting your circadian rhythm, because you're kind of telling yourself when it's time to mellow out and your body to go into that parasympathetic. But then everything extra that you use is just going to go to being antioxidant, killing free radicals, honestly going to lower stress and oxidative stress in a way. So it's super beneficial in that. The first couple days, obviously, you have to fight that like melatonin grog that like kicks your ass a little bit. But after you do it for a couple days, you won't even notice the difference. Like you'll notice the difference when you don't take it, but
yeah. No, I remember you discussing that in the last pod too, and honestly, that brings me to want to tell you like thanks for coming on again, brother, because like even the last pod, people absolutely fucking loved it when you came on because you're just so real about everything down to like how you optimize your health and your like your gains just from managing your peptides, your PEDs, your antioxidants, and all that shit.
yeah, sure.
And I don't think I started this until after we had that conversation because I have this podcast with Dave Lee, who is a big proponent of high dose melatonin, not just for the antioxidant benefits, well, mainly for the antioxidant benefits, but also just I think I'm trying to remember what the other thing is with that he said, but ever since then I started experimenting with it myself too. So I've been on 20 milligrams consistently for like the last, I don't know, 4 months or so now. And I fucking love it, bro.
It makes
And I feel like I can, especially because, like, you know, when we're traveling and shit, especially for shows, and then you have to adjust your circadian rhythm anyways. It's like, well, I'm already on a consistent dose of melatonin, so it's like I don't really have a problem adjusting if I need to.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one thing too, man. Like with us traveling to like Europe and doing these other shows, you know, in other places, that's one thing that I usually don't struggle too bad with. If anything, it's like post show when we come home, I'll have some jet lag and stuff, but like generally traveling into the show, because I'm so diligent about everything and like really keep my routine and even try to keep the baths and stuff in place even when we're in Europe. Because of that, my body's like, okay, he took his melatonin, he took his bath, it must be bedtime, whether we think it's noon at home or not. Like, we kind of know this process enough to know like it's time.
Right.
So, and then, and like you, I mean, you've seen kind of throughout my career, man, it's like, if you just keep stacking perfect days, like eventually it's all going to come together, you know? So it's like, I know this works. It's definitely worked throughout my prep. So just keep using it. And then obviously now we know, like, okay, we had significant amount of data that shows that this is definitely makes my sleep better. So I'm going to continue to use it.
Yeah, same. Speaking of, bro, you were on a fucking mission this last year, dude.
I honestly, man, Pittsburgh was a big kick in the teeth for me, dude. Like, I just didn't show up how I wanted to show up. We did not peak how I wanted to peak. We spilt. We tried to clean it up. It cleaned up nicely, but then going on stage, I could just feel that I wasn't at my best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always like a tough blow, especially because like I come from sports background of like, you could maybe have like shitty practices all week and play like a really shitty game and still score like the game-winning touchdown and be the hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like in bodybuilding, there's no such thing as like a gamer moment, is what we called it in football. It's like when you want the ball in the last 30 seconds and you want to score the touchdown, like there's nothing like that in bodybuilding. Like either you nailed it on the day or you shit the bed and like you missed the peak. Like there's not real like a gamer moment of like, okay, well, in 30 minutes, if we take this pill, you're going to look perfect. Like, nah, it doesn't really work like that. You need to nail it, you know? So, like, that was a little bit tough for me to swallow. But the cool thing about Pittsburgh was I was in a house with Boss, and I was also in a house with William. And William being this, like, old school vet, been doing this so long, like, bro, literally going on stage is, like, visiting his children to him. Like, it's just like the most like everyday thing. Like, he doesn't care. Like at Pittsburgh, bro, like he was so pissed that Steve put us through 4 rounds. He was like, what the fuck, why did we go 4 rounds? That's bullshit. Like, we posed too much. Like, he's hilarious, bro. So like we came home and obviously like I'm beating myself up and like I'm pissed, you know, and I put like the sorry thing on my story. And, like, both him and Boss, like, pull me aside. And they're like, all right, like, first off, like, never again. I'll kick your ass. Like, Boss was like, I'll fight you if you ever do that again. Like, you don't need to apologize. Like, we just didn't show up how you wanted to. But, like, that's life. Like, sometimes stuff's going to happen. Sometimes, like, you're not going to be at your best. Like, that's just how things go. And so, like, Will pulled me aside and was like, look, man, like, bro, you're doing it at the highest level. Like, you know, the only like you missed and the only 2 guys that beat you are top 5 in the world guys. Like, remember that like you're that good now that like even when you miss, you beat 90% of bodybuilders in the pro league.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like, you know, put a good perspective for me of like, okay, you're right. Like, yeah, I'm not Phil yet where like I can miss and still win the Olympia. But I am getting to a point where, like, I'm a good enough bodybuilder that, like, I don't have to be 100% to, like, win, you know? But when I am 100%, it's going to be right on the money, you know? So going in, like, we talked about doing the Arnold. It was like, no, let's sit out. Let's just put all of our focus on the Olympia. really show up at our best. And I didn't even think about Prague, honestly. That was like decided on Friday night at the Olympia that we were going to do Prague. So,
No shit.
yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
we like just really focused on Olympia. You know, I really liked my look at the Olympia. Feedback
we
from
all
the
did.
judges was like slightly flat, which like in hindsight now after my awesome peak at Prague, like I can see like, okay, yeah, like I could have pushed the limits at the Olympia, but it's the Super Bowl. Like sometimes
Right.
chasing 5% and then fucking it up 15% is not worth it. So like,
It's not worth it. Plus,
right.
bro,
Whereas
your
like
physique
Prague
look-
was more like, okay, if we miss, we miss, but like let's play with it just a little bit. So we honestly didn't change too much. We pushed me down just a little bit in between because of travel and like there was no time to really feed me or anything in between. You know, it's only 2 weeks. But in between there was like just flying and stuff. I kept my food low so I didn't have any water retention. So I was already in better condition anyways. And then really the only like changes that we made going in was a touch more salt throughout the day, in mostly on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because we kind of, as we taper water, we also taper salt as well.
salt.
I think Patrick kind of does something similar, right?
Slightly. It's more of like as the carb up happens, the salt is slightly less.
Okay, yeah. So
But then on Friday when water's less, the sodium is about the same as Thursday, which I would prefer it to be less, like you, but you know, he's got his methods.
yeah. So anyway, so at least you understand the idea of it, right? So obviously holding less sodium, less water retention, kind of obviously playing on that. But because we knew like at the Olympia I was slightly flat, I was like, okay, we kind of have two options. One, we can try to up fluid and salt and see how that helps with fullness. Also, we can obviously eat more, but you guys have seen, if you've paid attention to my preps, like it's usually like 4,000 carbs in like 3 days. So more food is not really the best option.
It's kind of tough. Right.
Like if it is, it's like, okay, like can we do more almond butter or something like that? I don't really want more carbs, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so we did play, like I said, we played with fluids a little bit. Mostly fluids stayed the same, but we upped salt just a little bit so that I actually did have some more water retention within the cell. And then food sources, Olympia I did pretty much all rice all the way up until between prejudging and finals. After prejudging, Phil came to me. He was like, hey, bro, you're a little bit flat. This is what I did. This is what you should do. I think it will look really good on you. Obviously, you and your coach have your methods, but like run this by him and see what he says. So Phil was like, I think you should eat some potato. I think the starch will help you hold fullness longer. And then he was like, tonight, just do extra salt. Like, you need some extra salt, replenish everything that you kind of burn through for the show. Also, I think you could, like, it will just pull some water into the cell. So we listened to Phil. I actually got McDonald's French fries between prejudging and finals that night and went to bed. And we woke up and it was like, I was flat, but I had so much more pop to the muscle already. That was like, okay, that was a great decision. It held fullness overnight a little better. So we kind of knew going into Prague, like, hey, we can utilize potato a little bit more than we ever have. And digestion was like perfect with it. So I was like, hey, like, as weird as it is, like, let's try this a few times throughout the days, boss. And like, just kind of replace a cream of rice meal with McDonald's French fries, honestly. So we did that on Friday. We did that on Saturday in between prejudging and finals. And then we did that before finals at Prague. And it was just like the perfect combination of that starch, obviously. There's a little bit more fats, obviously, in McDonald's French fries than like if you're going to do cream of rice and almond butter. Or it's a little less controlled because it's a fried food or whatever. And McDonald's, you can order it salt-free. So I just get the French fries without salt and then control how much sodium we're putting on the fries. And that was the secret to Prague's peak, if you will. Like, it wasn't really that much of a change. It was just like one food swapped out for another. And like I said, upping sodium just a little bit. But that's the beauty of staying with somebody, calculating all this data, and kind of finding that perfect recipe. You know, it's like, if we didn't know what we did exactly at the Olympia, plus I take tons of notes and write everything down and calculate my meals and all those things. But in that process of going through it, it was like, okay, we know that we kind of have our recipe. Now what do we need to add or take away to make it better? And I think, I mean, I as far as Prague goes, man, I don't think that we could have came much closer to nailing a peak without going in one direction or the other. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if I push fullness this much more, I probably would have spilt. If I pushed dryness a little bit more, I probably would have cramped.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, it was like, there was really not much leeway to get better. And that's the goal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the ideal peak, is to put it all together and at least display the best physique that you have in that moment. And I definitely think we did that.
Have you ever done anything if you got cramps on show day or on stage? Like, is there any ever supplement
yeah, so there's it's kind of like, I've had a few moments. So when I did the Arnold UK with Branch, backstage, right before prejudging, I started to have full body cramps, like hamstrings locked up, glutes, low back. Like, it was my full body was going. So there's a pill, it's for malaria, but it actually stops cramping instantly. It's called quinine.
Okay.
I always have at least one of those with me backstage. So if you're some pro that you're having terrible cramps and I'm at the show, come to me. I can help you with that problem.
Nice.
But quinine is something that, as a pro bodybuilder, if you're taking diuretics and stuff, it's probably something that you should have in the toolbox.
How do you spell this shit?
Just in case.
Asking for a friend.
I'll text it to
All
you.
right. All right, thanks, bro.
But yeah, it's for malaria. It was developed in Africa from all the mosquito bites that were causing malaria. But it stops cramping instantly. So it just opens those channels and helps with the regulation of, obviously, sodium and potassium.
Okay.
But it instantly stopped it. And honestly, it didn't affect my look too much, which is kind of the cool thing about quinine. It's like, it's not going to make you look like shit by fixing the cramps. Because, like, obviously, you can chug something with sodium in it or something, and generally you're probably going to fix the problem, or depending on which way you're trying to push and what diuretics you're taking, obviously, right? But you can usually drink electrolytes and fix the cramping issue. But in the process, sometimes it makes you look watery, sometimes it makes you look spilled, sometimes it gives you cortisol. So quinine can help in all those senses of, one, it's like an instant relief for the brain of, like, knowing, like, hey, these are going to go away like that. Like, we're not going to have to, like, drink a little, hope it goes away, drink a little, hope it goes away type of shit. And then that's the only time I've ever had to take quinine. Then a few times I've had it where, like, a ham is, like, cramped up or something. And usually Alexis is backstage for me, so I'll just come to her and, like, have her dig an elbow or something into it and just try to get it to release like that.
Goals.
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's awesome to just have a partner that, like, understands. Like, I mean, at the Olympia, one day out, my hamstring cramped in the middle of the night, and I was, like, laying on the hotel floor, like, screaming, like, oh my God. And she, like, got up and stretched my hamstring and, like, fixed me. And so it's like, I know I'm ready. I know I'm dry. But yeah, so I mean, for the most part, it's like my team usually knows, and I usually can kind of feel that coming on, or like kind of know like, hey, I'm really close to that point where I'm like, I'm so dry, my calves are starting to feel tight and stuff.
Yeah,
like
same.
the cramps can come. So usually I'll tell boss like, hey, have the quinine in your pocket. Know that like I'm on the edge of cramping. And sometimes he'll be like, you're so dry, like, let's take a few sips of Gatorade. Like, let's alleviate that feeling just a little bit. And so that's the other thing that's nice is like him and I communicate so well. So it's easy for me to be like, hey, I'm feeling X, Y, Z. What can we do about that? And sometimes it's like, hey, nothing. Like between prejudging and finals at the Olympia, I was like, boss, I have the worst migraine of my life. And he was like, yeah, I mean, you're dehydrated. You've been dehydrated for like 2 days and you just posed your ass off. Like, there's not much we can do about it. It's like, I don't want you taking a bunch of NSAIDs and stuff right now. So, like, if you can avoid taking aspirin or Tylenol, like, let's avoid it and just try to, like, push through and go to bed. And, like, hopefully that'll alleviate the headache, you know? And it's like, okay, if boss says that, then, like, he has a rhyme or reason. So, like, let me not go take some aspirin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's good to hear too, because bro, I have like genetically prone cramps that I got from my dad. Like my dad's just like a runner, and he will randomly get leg cramps consistently all the time. So it's like, bro, when I go on stage, like the first time I won overall at an amateur show, they had to pause the show because it was me versus another guy for overall, and I started cramping on stage.
That's
I literally couldn't walk.
Dude.
It was nuts. But
I've never really had cramps like that. Just once or twice in the gym. I also had really, really bad ab cramps, and we found out it was coming from Clen. It was like, I can't take very much Clen, otherwise I cramp like crazy.
Okay. The taurine never really helped with that.
Taurine does help, but it definitely still, I don't know what it is. If I take more than like 40 micrograms, I get cramps in the bottom of my feet.
Yeah.
In my taint, which is like the worst spot in the world. And then sometimes my abs will cramp.
Ugh, fuck, dude. Shit. I fucking hate the ab cramps, man.
Oh,
especially when you look at it.
Brett's actually like the one that, how I figured out that that's what it was doing to me. It was because every time he takes Clen like 20 micrograms, his abs like lock.
20? That's crazy.
Yeah. No, Brett can't take hardly like any fat burners. He just doesn't need them, but
damn.
We're both lucky in that sense.
Real quick, guys. So while I was looking at the YouTube analytics, I actually saw that 85% of you guys that watch this channel are not subscribed. And I want to ask very little of you guys, but if you enjoy this podcast, if you find value in it, then please do me this one favor and subscribe to the channel, because doing so helps me get bigger and greater guests like the guests you are listening to today. Also, this channel is not sponsored, which means only the companies that I work with, which are Young LA and Huge Supplements, are the companies that can help fund this channel by you guys using the code NILE. So code NILE gives you a discount of 15% off of Young LA, and code NILE also gives you a discount of 10% off of Huge Supplements. And if you decide to purchase anything from any of these companies, it will help immensely for me by using my code. And this way, I can travel to other guests and also upgrade an equipment to make this podcast bigger and better for you guys.
Bro, I have to ask you this because not only am I the one who wants to ask you, but literally everyone wants to ask you. But I was at Open Olympia prejudging, and the moment you stepped on stage and opened up with your front double bi, I was like, holy fucking shit, bro. Martin is peeled to the bone, dude. I swear to God, I feel like that's the most peeled and detailed I've seen you. Like, I saw lines in places that I swear to God I like did not ever see before on you. And I know that you were like I know the judges told you that you were a little flat, probably for what they would have preferred on stage, but I just feel like the level of detail that you had just really had you stand out. Like had you pop, had people like their eyes drawn towards you, and I mean, I think that look, honestly, like you guys continuing to bring like that condition look, and obviously you're gonna feed in and try to fuel up and fill out before stage so you can come in as full as you need to be. But bro, that look was like just a fucking game changer.
Yeah, man.
So I mean,
Go ahead.
what did you guys do to get that level of conditioning this time?
Yeah, I
versus
mean,
before?
so we started pushing me a little bit earlier than we ever have. Like, usually we don't drop the hammer until like 3 weeks out because my body changes super, super fast, right?
What do you mean by drop the hammer?
Like, I mean, generally, bro, my food stays like 4 to 500 carbs all the way in until that like 3 week out mark. And then we'll drop it to like
Jesus Christ.
300, 250. And usually my weight starts coming down consistently. This time,
Were you a skinny kid? Were you super skinny?
yeah, I've always had abs. I've always been muscular. So like, I mean, I started lifting weights at 10, bro. So like, and I started eating 6 meals a day at 14. So like, I don't even like know a different life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the Olympia, we started more like 6 weeks out. So like probably like a full 3 weeks earlier.
Okay.
And then we got to a point probably about 3 weeks out where it was like, okay, we're close to ready. Let's see how far we can go before like I kind of fall apart and just look like shit. Like, and then we have enough time that like I can feed up into the Olympia if I need to a little bit to try to get back to a point where it's like we won't go off of a cliff, but we're gonna push the limit, right? And that was kind of a cool moment for us this year, was like seeing the density and how hard I train. We were able to take me all the way down to zeros, and like weight wasn't really plummeting and I wasn't really disappearing. So it was like I was riding that flat spot for a really long time. But it was like every day boss would be like, oh, we'll probably feed you tomorrow. Like, you're going to be flat. And I would get like a new low, but it would just be like, damn, it's just more detailed. Like, yeah, it is flat, but it's just more detailed. Like, let's just keep digging it out. So we just kind of started seeing lines just get deeper and deeper the whole time, which was really cool. And then I did implement some peptides this prep that I've never done before. So I used MOTC every morning, and then I also used Sloopy, which is that SLUP.
SLU.
Yeah.
I experimented.
Yeah, and I thought both of those made a pretty good difference in mitochondrial activity. Because one thing I started to notice about the last 3 weeks was like I was cold 24/7. Like I could even eat a meal with a little bit of carbs and I like wasn't getting a sweat. I wasn't getting super warm. So I started to see like metabolisms, okay, maybe starting to fight back a little bit on like, yo, dog, you're starving us to death. Like you have never done that before.
Yeah.
But then implementing those kind of started to like fire it back up to where I'm like, okay, like if I take Sloopy within 15 minutes, I can kind of feel like body temp is coming back to
Body temperature definitely gets up.
more like comfortable spot. So I really enjoyed that. And then the only other thing that we did differently this time was pull growth hormone a little bit earlier. So it was like 14 days out instead of 10 days out, just to see if it cleared a little bit more. For me, I just get more and more detail the longer I'm off of growth. But obviously there comes a fullness factor with that. So you kind of have to gauge it right. With me, I stay so round. We were like, we don't need that fullness factor at all at this point. Like, you're big enough. You have enough size. We have enough detail. So like, Let's not worry about that. Like,
Fucking Mr. Bubbles, dude. You're so right.
yeah,
It's
so
crazy.
we pulled that and test both at the same time, about 14 days out.
Wow. Okay.
And rode in like that, man. And it was the best it's been, you know. It was super easy, and there wasn't too much manipulation as far as like water and stuff goes. The other thing I would say that was like a super focus of mine was going into the show probably at like 8 weeks out. I started calculating my salt in my water every single day. So it was like every single day I'm getting 5 liters. Every single day I'm getting 10 grams of salt. No more, no less. Just keeping it like as constant as possible. Every once in a while we get to like 5.
You said you didn't really. I'm assuming that you definitely hammered down on this too, because I remember you mentioning on Food's podcast Pittsburgh, the sodium intake and calculating it like you did this time didn't go so well.
Yeah, so
like it wasn't as accurate, right?
Yeah, man. So my problem was like it was more of a communication issue than anything. But it was like I told boss like, hey, yeah, I'm doing 5 liters, but at that point I was drinking 2 and using 3 to cook my meals, versus like now it's 5 of drinking water plus whatever it is to make my meals, right? So that was a big thing. And then like the salt, like you said, it was something that I noticed. Like I don't salt my meals at all. Like I don't really care about that. So other than like when I pre-season my proteins and like make my meat and stuff, it's all ready. But besides that, I don't really like use a ton of seasonings and stuff. So that was something that was like, okay, to actually get 10 grams of salt a day was a fucking challenge for me at first. Like what ended up working for me was I started putting it in my water. So like every liter I was putting like about 1 gram to 2 grams of salt in it. And that was how I was getting it.
So you don't really salt your foods that much then on a normal
Not
basis?
really, bro. Not crazy.
Because 9 grams of salt is kind of easy for me to get on
Most
peak week.
most
Like,
people,
I'm kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, even Alexis probably does like 14. She loves seasoning. But yeah, I just like I never really messed with it. I just eat my food how it is. You know, if I have a ton of rice, I would salt it. But otherwise, like I just salt my protein when I make it, and otherwise, it's like Gucci for me. You know, so I've never really like worried about it too much. But yeah, so those were the biggest changes going in, really. Besides that, it was pretty much the same. I mean, drug protocol, all of those things were exactly the same as far as that goes.
Like Olympia, drug protocol and everything, like it wasn't less of a stack or more of a stack than Pittsburgh. Like no
literally there. Like the exact same PED protocol, honestly.
Gotcha. Wow. Huh. That is fucking dope, dude. There's a lot of thoughts going through my brain right now about all these changes. Like one of the ones specifically is you pulling out GH and test 14 days prior as an open bodybuilder. I think is just really cool to hear like on this podcast, because you'll hear like people like John Jewett, for example, who have an experience of where it's more optimal for them to even keep in GH all the way through the show.
Yeah.
But to hear from an open bodybuilder's perspective that you can gain what an insane fucking detailed physique that you had on the Olympia stage, pulling it out so far in advance. Like, bro, I just pulled out GH yesterday. What is that, like fucking 4 days before, 5 days before my show? And I'm in classic. And honestly, to be honest, I also kind of fucked up. I actually pulled out test. I forgot to pull out test. I forgot to reduce the test like on Sunday. So Patrick's like, you're like 2 to 3 pounds heavier than you were last show at the same time. So we're going to have to change some shit, which is my fault. I look fuller at least, I guess. But yeah, that's
no, and
cool
I mean,
to see
so
that
like
you maintain so much size going in.
Speaking from experience, you know, like that's kind of the cool thing of doing this with Brett. And like obviously knowing every single thing that he does drug wise and training wise and food wise, is like, if he did that, bro, he would look like shit.
Yeah.
So like certain people, you can't do that with their body. They're not going to hold on to the fullness and the roundness and the hardness. So some people like Brett, he's more of like, we pull it at like 5 days, somewhere in there out. And
Gotcha.
test is similar, like probably about 7 to 5 days out, somewhere in there, we pull his test. But when he's off of that for like 10-ish days, you notice a drastic drop in fullness, especially in like his arms, in a few weaker body parts, especially. And that's probably something that gives me an advantage, is like, I don't really have a body part that's super weak. So nothing disappears more than like something else, if you will. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
cool. Yeah.
I think that's probably part of why I can do that. The other side of it is like, I'm naturally already super, super round. So that GH fullness that gives you that roundness, I don't necessarily need that from GH. Obviously, it helps. But one thing, Pittsburgh, we pulled it at like 7 days out, I think. And one thing I noticed being on it closer was also kind of pumping out while posing, if that makes sense. Like, my quads were so full at Pittsburgh. By the end of like round 3, when I went to like step them down for like the most muscular and flex them out, it felt like I had done a set of squats with like 405 and had a pump.
Holy
So
shit.
it's like I could feel the lines were kind of like blown out and kind of like too pumped to actually show the detail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was something that I discussed with Boss right after the show, was like, hey, obviously I know we kind of spilled, or were right on the line of spilling, so that's part of why the fullness was too much. But I think that it could possibly be PEDs as well, because there's a certain point when food is high and I'm in prep that I'm getting the same feeling in the gym, where it's like my quads are going to explode after 2 or 3 sets of extensions when food is super high, right? So it's like, I know that part of that is just, we have way more blood in the system. We're able to pump more blood into that system, obviously.
Yeah.
And then water retention from the growth hormone just makes the blood more viscous to be able to go in there as well, So those were all things that we kind of just took notes on after Pittsburgh. And then I checked in with Boss pretty much every other day from Pittsburgh all the way into the show. Then at like 8 or 10 weeks out, I started sending pictures every single day.
That's
and
awesome.
part of that's not just for him. It's like, honestly, probably just a mental ease for me, because half the time he sends me like, you look awesome. Like, let's just keep rolling with what we're doing. Or like, you look tired, go back to bed. But that also just eases my mind, and I love to pose. So that's kind of like my cardio, is like taking the check-in video for him and going through a couple rounds. For the Olympia, I guess that was one other thing we implemented. We did put in cardio for a short period of time.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, so that I've like hardly ever done cardio. For this one, there was probably about 2 weeks where I was doing 20 minutes on the bike. And we ended up having to reduce that because we were just kind of seeing like, we're probably going to have to feed you if we keep on this path. Whereas we want to just kind of keep riding this flatness. So if you just have enough go to train hard, then like, let's just keep riding lower food and kind of using that. And I do better that way, man. Like, I hate cardio, to be honest. So like, it would
we all
yeah,
hate
and I would just rather you starve me, to be honest. Like, as much as I hate saying it, like, I would rather just do zeros than get on a stair step or a stair mill, because I want all that energy to go into training. For me, that's what I have the most fun doing. Like, I love to train. So if I'm wasting or what feels like wasting energy in the morning on, say, fasted cardio. And then 2 hours later, we're going to train legs. And I'm like a little bit zapped. It's like, yo, if I could do 5 more sets in this leg session, I burned 300 calories that I burned doing the 20 minutes of bike easily. Because there's no way you're crawling under a fat leg press set, killing yourself and not burning a psycho amount of calories. So like, we're always trying to find that, like, how can we utilize it or do more in the gym versus cardio versus walking versus steps.
Makes sense.
You know, and if anything, I would probably, like, in hindsight now, looking at it, is like, I would probably just go in and hit a session in the morning if we need to do something like that again. Instead of a 20-minute bike session, let me go in, let me train some abs, let me hit arms, you know, and then in the afternoon I'll come in and do back or something like that. And I think that would just be more beneficial mentally for me, because I just hate the cardio. Like, it's just not fun. I can't find the groove. I don't get the runner's high or anything like that, like somebody gets. So like, I can walk the dog, and I really enjoy that. So like, that's not bad.
Right.
But outside of that, man, like, I would just rather train. I love to train. That's my favorite thing to do. So like, why not try to burn calories doing that, right?
Yeah, yeah. How far out did you guys start that cardio?
I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks out. About the same time we started to hammer on food and start to pull food down. It was like, okay, let's push this, and then, like I said, we can always get to a point where we're ready, and then we can have to eat up and kind of like yo-yo if we need to. And like I said, we got to a point kind of where it was like, okay, you're ready. Now let's see how far we can dig into this and just see if you disappear. And that was kind of the cool thing for me, is like, usually there's a certain point when my arms started to disappear last year that it was like, okay, this is kind of our tipping point. If I diet much harder, I think my arms are going to look like shit. Like, whereas this year, as we started to go, it was like, okay, arms are holding size, nothing's disappearing. Chest isn't going too flat. Those are kind of my 2 weakest body parts, in my opinion, is like my arms and my chest. They were
wild.
And they were kind of the thing. They're just kind of the thing that goes flat first, because it's kind of newer muscle as well. You know, it's like they match now, or are pretty balanced, but that is way newer muscle than, like, say, my quads. Like, I've had good quads since I've been in the pro league, versus like I've had to grow a chest over the last 2-3 years. So last year we really saw like newer chest, newer muscle. It just kind of started to disappear when we started to dig a little too hard. And this time we just never really saw that. There was never a point, like, there was probably 2 or 3 points where he was like, okay, let's do 300 carbs today. You know, and the next day I'd wake up and be the exact same weight or lose a pound. And then it was like, okay, now let's just go back to lows. And we knocked off that fatigue. We see that the chest is flat, but it's not terribly flat. You shuttled some food in there, and like, now let's rock and roll and go back to pushing hard on those leg days, especially. You know, that's something that's like, I'm not going to lose tissue in my legs, or I'm going to have to like try to eat that tissue off. It's dense as dense can be. So on those days, it's like, if I do a 0 day and push that leg day as hard as I can, you can't tell me that that's like not going to burn more calories than doing 2 hours of stair stepper in a half-ass leg session.
So around 3 to 4 weeks out, did you guys end up pulling that cardio completely, or did you just reduce it when they started?
So I still was
go a little flat.
I was still posing in the morning really hard, but we pulled the like actual bike walking type of stuff. And it, like, he just kind of said the same thing, like, hey, like, maybe we add a couple more sets of junk volume, if you will, to the session to just make sure that we are burning some extra calories there. So I mean, that's easy for me. It's like, yo, instead of doing 3 leg curls, we do 4 leg curls and a leg press or something. You know,
And that didn't hinder your recovery at all or anything.
yeah,
right?
no, and that's something, man. Like I'll say that I'm also super lucky with is like, if I'm on PEDs, bro, I really pretty much don't have a problem recovering. Like right now, I'm natty boy and I am sore. Somebody beat my whole body with a baseball bat.
That's funny.
But as far as like when I'm on PEDs, when everything's going good, man, like I couldn't tell you like the last couple weeks of prep where I was like actually sore from the session, even though we were still murdering it, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, oh. Something's coming in.
Your girl coming home?
I guess so. I was caught off guard because she was
Someone's breaking in. Burglar.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what's going on right now? Anyways. What was I asking? What were we doing? Oh, yeah, regarding the PEDs. So you were mentioning like whenever you're doing the leg extensions, right? And then you just feel like that's in the place where like the water retention is just like abnormally high in your quads, and like you just feel like this pump where like the separation is gone. Like were you kind of focusing on any particular PEDs in general? Are there any particular ones that you feel like you see this happen for you?
I think growth is probably the one like I noticed the most, like where the pumps get crazy and stuff is when growth is in there, obviously. And the higher you go, the worse it's gonna get, obviously. So that's something too, like I've never really been able to go over 6 IUs of growth. I've tried 8 a few times. And just it's almost too much for me. Like it's kind of a battle and training and stuff where it's like the pumps are fighting me to where I'm having to like take extra time between sets before I can even get back in the machine and things like that. So there's kind of a fine line there for me where it's like, I don't know if it's benefiting me that much when it's super, super high. And so then just reducing it back, even I think at like that 3-week out mark, like I said, was we reduced it. We cut growth in half. So I was running 3. And then, like I said, at that 14-day mark or whatever it was, I think it was 14 days, it might have been 13 days, one of those two, and we just pulled it completely, and just rode into the show. And then going into Prague, I never reintroduced it. So that also kind of to give you an overview. So Prague, I was off of growth hormone and tests for like a full month.
Holy shit. No way. Did you feel anything from that?
I felt like I started to feel like dog shit. That last like peak week of Prague, I was like, okay, my test is like crashing. Like even though I'm on other PEDs, I can feel that like test is finally like completely out of the body, you know, and stuff. Right. And obviously growth kind of, the main thing you feel with growth and notice is one, I think it helps with sleep a ton, obviously. And then just like when you're that dry, elbows and knees and hips, when you don't have it in, you are like, okay, yeah, no, I'm an old man. I actually have some arthritis in my right knee, you know. But when you're all full and on PEDs and stuff, like, you know, 8 weeks out, you feel like you're invincible. So those things, you don't feel them as much. So now, you know, it's like, especially now that I've been off everything for coming up on 6 weeks, my body feels like an old man, bro. Like I'm 28 years old, but I feel 48 right now.
Holy shit, bro. Oh, I'm not looking forward to it. I was looking forward to freaking going on a cycle for a second, but now
it's like, you know, it's such a, we were talking about it today while we were training, man. And it's like, it's always a humbling experience to get reminded that like you're still human.
Yeah.
Because like you're at super physiological levels at least half the year as a bodybuilder. So it's like half the year you're like, I feel like a god. And then when you go to feeling like this, you're like, oh shit, I actually am human. So with like Brad and I were talking and I was like, yeah, man, like now that I haven't been on anything for a couple weeks and like everything is like inflammation is down and like nothing is all juiced up, I'm like, bro, my elbow, this shoulder, my right knee, I'm like, this shit's banged up a little bit. And he's like, yeah, bro, how you think I feel? I got fucking 10 years on you, and I'm still just trying to keep up with you every day, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I respect it, bro.
I'm about the double dose of BBC and the TB for this fucking off cycle.
Dude, I will say
that's
something, too, that has been a huge factor over the last year in this shoulder, at least, is I've been doing injectable TB and BPC. And it's made a huge difference because this shoulder was absolutely trashed from college track. I tore the labrum doing a snatch, and like it went completely behind me, about fucking body slammed me to the ground, and it tore the shoulder to shit. And I've always kind of had issues. Shit. That's part of why I have that front lat spread mobility issue, is because of the shoulder. But the BPC and stuff has made a drastic difference, and that's kind of what's helped with my mobility, is just being able to get into positions without pain, because I've been able to do that now with the BPC and the TB.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. When I saw you two at Olympia, dude, especially during prejudging, your waist looked so fucking tiny. Like I almost felt like it looked smaller than like your past shows. Was there anything that you guys might have like done to attack that in particular? And if you don't mind me asking, like what orals might you have been running for this show?
Yeah, so orals was just Anavar and Winstrol. Very like straightforward stuff. I will say I do think part of my waist being better, it was slightly smaller this Olympia than last Olympia. And I think a big portion of that was taking oral BPC, which decreased inflammation in the gut drastically. And then I've always done a good bit of glutamine, but this prep, we went above and beyond with that. So I was doing like 40 grams a day. So I was doing 10 milligrams 4 times a day. And we really saw a drastic difference in that, just in digestion and absorption. And then like I said, the BPC, I really think helped keep inflammation off the gut from just how much food we have to eat. There's gonna be some damage there, right? Yeah. So then carbing up and stuff, I still took that all the way into the show, trying to keep that inflammation off the stomach. Because eating 1,000 carbs in a day is also going to cause some inflammation.
Yeah, for sure. Did you always take the glutamine on fasted states, or like did you try to shoot for fasted states?
Yes.
To be honest, I feel like it's always difficult to try to do that.
Somewhat. So obviously, first one in the morning, that first liter of water, I try to get it in before I have any food or anything. So do glutamine in that. Mm-hmm. And then my second one was after my meal 1, about 2 hours after, so right before meal 2, which is my pre-workout meal. Mm-hmm. And then we were doing 10 in my intra, and then 10 before bed. So still somewhat fasted, or at least minimal amount of food in the stomach to try to get that absorption good, so that it's helping repair that gut lining without anything in there, you know?
That's cool. That's dope. Because the reason I was asking is because Patrick had me not run any orals except for just Proviron for my first show, which I was like shocked about, right? Because I'm like, dude, I've always run Winstrol. So this was like probably one of the smallest prep stacks. Well, this was the smallest prep stack as a pro I've ever run. But then afterwards, I didn't have quite the same like pop that a lot of the other competitors had, according to people in the audience. So
after discussing things with him, he let me introduce Winstrol in it because I always felt like Winstrol got me that like dirty paper thin skin, and started implementing it, and I feel like it got this better, fuller look for the second show, which was 3 weeks later. But now, 6 weeks later for the last show, I can I'm starting to get acne in my chest and my back. I'm starting to feel like maybe they could be contributing a little bit more inflammation, a little bit more hepatotoxicity, and my digestion has absolutely slowed down for sure. Like I'm starting to get like weird grumbles and shit, things that aren't very pleasant.
So that's
actually
something that I experienced.
Is that something that, because I remember you mentioned?
Yeah, bro. So just like you, early on in some preps, I had some experience with that where like if I would take it above 25 milligrams of Winstrol, I was instantly having issues like that. Like even to the point where when I would poop, you could almost smell the like Winstrol / chemical smell. Because my body, to be honest, like if anything ever comes back bad on my blood work, it's my liver. That's it. And so that's definitely something I've experienced in the past, and that was part of the reason that we had kind of abused the glutamine, if you will. But yeah, something I would say is you want to look at Winstrol. I wouldn't want to run it any longer than 4 weeks. I think after that, you just get into hepatotoxicity. You get into, like you said, it's a collagen degradation agent. That's something that a lot of people don't really understand about Winstrol. So like, although it's really good for thinning the skin out, and it actually does thin the skin, what most people, the like fish thing, I think we talked about this on the last one, but like the all fish diet, the reason that actually thins your skin, you have to be on Winstrol for that to work. Collagen degradation agent. It kills collagen type 2 and type 3. Our skin is made up of all types, 1, 2, and 3. Fish only has type 1 in it. So you're feeding only like the smallest membrane in your skin, and the other membranes are made of 2 and 3, which is in chicken and beef and like collagen powder. Those are mostly 2s and 3s. If you can eliminate those from your diet and then only have in the system to be able to degrade that, then you will see a drastic difference in skin texture, especially. And that's something that like I've played around with and done completely all fish. I've done some fish with a little bit of egg whites and kind of seen the difference. The only problem with that is you're also degrading the collagen in your tendons, in your ligaments, and all of those as well. So you have to be smart in how far you're willing to push it, how high you're willing to run that degradation agent, and how much collagen you truly want to take out, because you run the risk of bone by taking too much Winstrol and also degrading the collagen down. So you want to find that happy medium, but there definitely is some science running Winstrol and using it to actually thin the skin.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Fuck, bro. That is some fucking valuable information. Like, I've never known the details of why you can get that look. Yeah. Maybe that's something I need to focus on a little bit more. Get that thin.
I mean, bro, so that was honestly like that was kind of the coolest thing about me going to pharmacy school is like I could use the knowledge I learned in school to mostly it's just be able to read studies, because like studies are kind of hard to read if you don't have like a background in being able to understand medicine, like medical studies, you know?
Yeah.
But that was one of the biggest things I took away from pharmacy school, honestly, was just being able to read medical literature and be able to apply it or understand it. Because it's like they use such big words and stupid words and try to use 7 sentences to explain what you could explain with 1 sentence.
Yeah.
So just being able to decipher that is honestly like some of the hardest part of reading that stuff. But a lot of that knowledge just came from when I was in school. I was just like reading in the background of the class, trying to figure out different steroids and things like that.
That's tough, bro. You have a crazy background, by the way. Fucking pharmacy school and then just construction out of nowhere. And then now you're just
Dude,
this
so,
fucking
like,
epic Olympian bodybuilder.
I worked, I mean, like, I worked construction kind of all throughout high school and like in the summers, and worked in the oil field with my dad. So I always had that blue collar background. But with school, dude, I was so smart. Like, I graduated high school with 4.0 and I never cracked a book. So when I went to college, I was like, one, I was on a full ride for track. So I already had my whole school paid for. So I was like, I'm going to make them pay for a doctorate. What's the fastest one I can get? And so, like, it was like, they're like, well, you can get into pharmacy school in 4 years, and then it's only a 4-year program. So, like, really, it'll take about 8 years. And I was like, let me see the requirements to get into pharmacy school. So I looked at him and I was like, I can do all of this in 2 years, and I promise you I'll get in. And they were like, no one's ever done that. I was like, okay, watch. So I got A's in all the required classes. And then, like, pharmacy school is like medical school. So you take what's called the PCAT to get in instead of the MCAT. I took that and I scored in the 90th percentile. And they were like, I mean, you have better results than most of the people that took 4 years to try to get into the program. So, like, and you're a college athlete. So being an athlete also looked really good on their resume as saying, like, we have a student athlete that's also going to be a pharmacist someday in our program. So it was kind of a no-brainer for them to let me in. And as, like, all the teachers kind of met me and stuff, they realized, like, I was super smart without having to try at school.
Must be
So
nice.
when I finished 2.5 years of pharmacy school. And when I went in to, like, turn in my books and say, like, hey, I'm not coming back after Christmas, the teachers, like, half of them were like, are you psychotic? Like, you're one of the top 10% in this class. You're one of the only people that will, like, make it as a pharmacist or graduate with good grades. And you're going to quit. And, like, half of these people are going to have to quit because they failed classes or, like, can't make it through the program. And you're just like, fuck it, I want to be a bodybuilder. And I was like, yeah, like, I can always come back to school. But, you're only 20 once. So, like, I only have a 20-year-old body one time. Like, I need to use it now. And I only had one professor that was, like, kind of just like that. Was like, no, you're only 20 once, man. Like, I went back to school when I was 35. So, like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like, that's cool. And now, like, they all still follow along. So it's kind of cool. Like, a bunch of them messaged me after Prague.
Yeah.
And we're like, a couple of them were like, I didn't know you were going to do this. And then the one that told me, like, you can always come back to school, he messaged me and was like, I always knew you'd be like a world champ or something, Marty. Like,
That's awesome.
we all knew you had the work ethic, except for you were in the back of our class watching bodybuilding videos. That was me, bro.
That's awesome, dude. That was me too in college. I was actually listening to Jeff Nipper's Ice Cream for PR's podcast before he even started doing the crazy
Before
YouTube videos.
he was, like, famous.
Yeah, it was before he was famous, bro. This shit was fire though back in the day.
That's cool.
And now look at me. I'm a
Now you
half-ass
have
bodybuilder.
And you have one of the most famous podcasts.
Thank you, bro. But look at you now. From fucking 10% in your class to fucking top 0.0000001% of all bodybuilders in the entire world, dude.
Dude, honestly, it just comes down to doing what you love, man. Like, you know it as well, too. It's like, it's really easy to be passionate and really easy to, like, do this every day and, like, live in monotony or what people think is monotony when, like, you really love it. Like,
Yeah.
I love the structure of my diet. I love dieting. I love being on a plan. Like, some people are like, doesn't it give you anxiety knowing like you have to eat the same thing every day? And I'm like,
Nah.
no, doesn't it give you anxiety not knowing what you're gonna eat tomorrow? Like,
That's
doesn't that
hilarious.
bother you?
Oh shit. I feel like there's something to be said about for us though, man. It's like when we eat the same shit every day, it's that we are doing this, everything we're consuming on a day-to-day basis. This meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is literally bringing us closer to our purpose and our goal. We are growing by the minute, getting closer to our goal by the minute, about to achieve greatness by the minute, you know, versus someone else who doesn't have that passion or that drive or that vision for their purpose. They're just like, oh fuck, this shit's boring, man. I want to go fucking eat some pasta. I
Yeah.
want to go eat some ramen
I mean,
or some
that's
shit.
that's
Which I
the
do,
other
but
thing I love about it too, man, is like there's no, you have to make those conscious decisions like every meal.
mhm.
Like, you could, like, 90% of the time no one is watching me eat my food.
Yeah.
You know, if I really wanted to eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich, like, I can fucking do that. But there's also repercussions for those choices.
Yeah.
So it's like it's that part is cool to me, and then like I know I talk about it all the time, but like the endless chase is like, bro, you know how many times I've said like, oh, when I get to 210 pounds, I'm gonna look so sick, and like that'll be where I want to stay. Then I get there and it's like, okay, if I get to 225, I'd like then I'm gonna have enough size. This is gonna be sick. And then you get there and like it's like a little more, and like now I don't really care about being much bigger. Like, size will come over these next couple years, like 2-3 pounds each time, and obviously it's important to continue to grow when I'm competing against guys that are 300 pounds. But like now my endless chase right now is like, how much detail, how conditioned can we truly get?
Mm-hmm.
Like Munster status type of shit. It's like
Monster status.
I want people to put my name up there as like, yo, I've seen a lot of bodybuilders in person, but like, you know who I saw in person that was like didn't have skin? Marty. You know, like I know people that got to see Branch in person and were like, yo, I used to talk shit on Branch, and then I saw him in person and was like, I completely understand why he wins shows now. Like, the dude was inside out, disgusting, nasty, peeled.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I feel like we're so blessed to be here, dude. So blessed to do this.
Yeah, dude.
I gotta
Are
ask
you a
you, bro.
professional athlete? Yeah, go ahead.
How does it feel to have beat 5 past Mr. Olympia champs?
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. So altogether, it's like 13 titles, I think, total. Which is like wild in itself, man. Obviously, I think the biggest triumph is Samson, of course, because you know he won last year, and like
Mm-hmm.
he's 300 pounds. I only weigh 235. You know, I mean, all those things added together, and like I was still kind of the young pup, so like this was kind of my moment of proving it. But each one like kind of has a special place in my heart because they've all like played a kind of a specific part in my journey.
Right.
So like Chris, especially because like going into that, we trained together and stuff too, and like I got
That was
so much.
intimate. That was cool.
Yeah, I got so much insight from him on just like how to handle this all. You know, like this life comes at you so fast, and then when you start to get success here and start to have some wins and stuff, like it literally feels like my life is 1,000 miles a minute right now. So getting those moments with Chris where he was kind of like, hey man, like you definitely got to step back and like soak it all in and like enjoy the process and like don't get too caught up in like what's next and the next show you're doing and like the next prep's got to start right now and stuff. So like that was really important to me. And then like obviously Keon is like, it's super cool full circle because we trained together when we were younger, back when nobody believed in us or always had something to say about us on the internet. To then us both being at the forefront of the sport and like just displaying our passion both at what we want it to be and like being able to show the sport in a light that we feel is best.
Mm-hmm.
So that part's been really cool to me. And then obviously, like, I'm a teammate with Samson. I've spent a lot of time with Samson outside of the gym and stuff. And like, I respect him a ton as a person. And then also, like, Samson was a blue collar guy too. So, like, we both understand each other on that level of like, we're so lucky to get to do this versus like having to build houses every day before this, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Sean, we're not as close like as like people, but we've always kind of been interconnected through like people that we're around or with. And so that part was really cool in that when we did Prague together, we were both coached by Boss. I got to see his whole carb up process. He got to see my whole carb up process. And just kind of being a part of his journey and watching that kind of his transition from Matt to a new coach, how much progress they made between the Olympia and Prague. That was really cool to watch. And then, Curry, when I beat him last year, we didn't have much of a connection. But this year we kind of gotten a lot closer, and it was really cool this year at the Olympia backstage getting to bullshit with him. Is like, bro, he's won an Olympia title now, and like his son is probably going to the league. Like his son is one of the best recruits in the nation for wide receiver. And he'll go play for like Tennessee or Alabama and be a starting wide receiver. So like,
Wow.
bro, he like his journey's so different now. Like bodybuilding is like probably his least important thing. It's like when you're a dad and your son is killing it like that, like you're excited to go to the football games on Friday night, not
Yeah.
necessarily the shows anymore. So like that was kind of cool hearing his like that he's pretty much ready to transition and like be able to just watch his son kill it and do those things with him. And like now after the Olympia, they had it set up for them to go visit like 5 different colleges, like 5 weekends in a row. So they're like on Division 1 visits. Last weekend they were at Tennessee. So it's like it's cool to see. Also get to watch him kind of like slowly transition out of the sport too, and like kind of seeing that side of things, because obviously we all get to that point eventually in bodybuilding where it's like, okay, maybe this isn't at the forefront anymore. Guys, either guys start passing you that shouldn't pass you, or you get an injury, or you start a business. It could be any of those things, but just kind of seeing these guys that are at that point in their career, William too, getting to spend time around him and seeing like him build his businesses now and him build his family now and stuff, and watching that process is also super cool to me, because obviously that's something in the next 5 years or so that we want to embark on, is trying to do this and have a family, which is, some people say it's impossible. Some people have proven that it's not impossible. But it's definitely, there's definitely difficulties that come with that. So being able to see some of these guys at the top and be able to get insight and watch them and the way they move when it comes to those processes is also super cool for me.
Mm-hmm. I remember you mentioning, since we're talking about mindset, and this kind of came across my mind, but at the last pod, and I think you also mentioned this on Fuad's pod, but the last podcast, you said you've never been super confident at nailing it on stage, and you've always been wary about your peaks. And I know that Pittsburgh was kind of like a tough place coming out of that, being like, all right, I have things to amend. So coming into Olympia and then coming into Prague, what was your mindset going into it? Do you experience any anxieties? How did you feel and how did you attack being on stage?
Yeah, man, this one was completely different for me, man. I felt like we had taken enough notes. We knew the look that we needed to bring to be my best. And I felt like we had all the data to be able to do that. So honestly, like going into it, I really didn't question much. And the coolest thing probably about it was like every morning of the Olympia, we were waking up and boss was like calling my weight before it came, before I texted it to him. Like he would guess and he would be like within point 0.2. Like we just, we had honed in the process so much that that anxiety was eased. The other thing for me was like we talked about, where it was like I always would get to a certain point in dieting where it was like, okay, now my chest is disappearing. So I could never like be on stage flat and feel comfortable, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, okay, if I'm flat, then like I can't feel my chest at all when I hit a most muscular. And then I would get like that panic feeling of like, oh fuck, I'm flat because I can't feel my chest. Whereas this time I knew kind of going into it, like, hey, we're gonna play the flat game. I'm gonna be slightly flat. If there's a moment of like you don't feel the muscle push against the skin, it's okay. That's the goal right now. Is like dry, hard, peeled, a little bit flat is okay. And you're big enough now that your flat is still big.
Mm-hmm.
So those few things gave me confidence. And then I'll say the thing that like put the icing on the cake for me was Phil pulled me aside backstage at the Olympia and was like, he told me a handful of things. But the two main things that really stuck out to me was one, he's been watching me since I was a kid, and I kind of knew that, like being around Denver, and I got introduced to him at like 19. Yeah, I mean, I watched him guest pose, and that was the reason I decided that I was gonna be a body or like actually compete. But so one, hearing that from him, like I've been watching you, and he told me like the one thing you're missing, Marty, is like you wear your heart on your sleeve, and when you think you might not be winning, you show that. And he was like, I want you to go out there tonight and show them you're Mr. Olympia, whether you're in 4th place or whether you're in 1st place. And that just kind of like lit a fire under my ass. Like, yo, Phil believes in me, and he also knows that like that is the key to winning. Is like he told me, he's like, yo, man, like at the end of the day, the judges are still humans. They still are impersonable. They're still impressionable. So if you walk out there and you have a demeanor of like somebody beat you, they might allow that to leak into them a little bit. Whereas if you come out there and you're like, I'm the fucking man, it's hard to not be excited about you. He was like, there was lots of times on Friday night that I think I lost to Kai, but to the judges, there was no way I was going to let them know that I thought that.
Mm.
Like to the judges, Phil was still winning in his head, and that really stuck out to me. And then the other thing is he told me like, man, elude the confidence that you have in the physique that you have, because like you have everything. You're not missing anything. You don't have any weak body parts. Conditioning is insane. And then I hit some poses for him, and he was like, "You're fucking on, bro. Like, go show the world that you're on." You know?
Yeah.
So those things kind of kick-started the Olympia and like really helped that, obviously. And then I was just able to build off of that confidence going into Prague, because it was like I obviously knew the physique was only going to be better. The peak was only going to be better.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, like Prague is it just feels like home for me. And part of that's just doing the show a couple times, being in that country. Like there's no language barrier. I know where the grocery store is. I know where this is. Like it all felt very at home to me. So there was no other stress involved in Prague, which was probably made it that much easier to not have to stress about like, what do I look like and how is the peak going and like, should we look at me? It was like kind of like, oh, pull my shorts up and look at my quad and like, things are going exactly how they need to go. We just keep
Nice.
doing what we're doing. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't need to like strip all the way down and like do my glutes look good. Whereas in the past, I needed a bit of reassurance to keep my confidence going. Whereas this time it was like, I didn't need anyone to tell me I'm on. Like, it was like, I know this one is right on the money. We just got to land the plane.
Do you do anything, or do you and boss do anything to manage cortisol around these times?
I mean, for
Like
me, man,
PP
I'm
for
very,
Olympia
very
and for
chill anyways. You know me, I smoke weed, and I would say that's probably like my cortisol relievers. Like sometimes boss is like, hey, go have a joint and just relax. Like
That's awesome.
just chill out a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But besides that, like I'm a fairly cortisol free person, if you will. Like I'm not much of a stressor. I would say I grew up in a pretty like stressful environment in childhood. So I managed that super well as far as like throwing things at me as like a flat tire or something like that. Like it's just how life goes. Like I don't really like get in a tizzy and stuff about that. And I think that helps a ton with just being a good bodybuilder is like not letting things get to you too much, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is just being with boss. For me, he's so calming and so like we have so much fun and we're fucking around 24/7 and cracking jokes and like talking shit and stuff so much that like it almost is like more fun to be at the show than it is like the weeks leading up to it because I have that anticipation of like 2 weeks of like I can't wait to see boss, I can't wait for him to see me in person. And then when we're together, it's like it's so much fun. And like I know you've watched my YouTubes, like when I pose and I'm like going through poses and boss is like, holy shit, and like what you know, like look at that, like damn, like it just gets me more and more excited too. So
Yeah.
like being with him definitely eases my mind. I would say out of all the shows I've done with him, the ones that I've peaked without him and we've done it through the phone have been the hardest because I didn't feel as at home and like as comfortable and like as mind eased as when I'm with him.
Okay. Do you, bro? One of the coolest scenes I saw was when Boss got so fucking hyped when you won Prague.
Oh, he lost
That
his
was
fucking
insane.
mind, bro. It was so cool.
That
And
was
then
so
like
happy to see.
he like ran away because he started to cry and he didn't want Alexis to see him cry. And then it was so funny because like then Alexis is like about to start crying because she like sees how happy Boss is and like how excited he is. And George Farah snatches Alexis's arm and is like, "Don't cry, you'll mess up your makeup and you have pictures." It was like so funny. George was like
That's
looking
sick.
out for her, like, don't mess up your makeup. You got pictures to take with the champ. So that's honestly, man, like I know I talk about it all the time, but like my whole circle, everybody's so stress free and like just loves bodybuilding that like
Yeah.
the trips are honestly like the most fun I have all year, to be completely frank with you. Is like, I mean, I would say Prague is probably one of my most memorable weekends of my entire life. But every show weekend to me is like a movie. Like it's like we have so much fun. We fuck off. We mess around. Like there's only a few moments of like, oh my God, this is so serious. Like the rest of it is just us boys having boy time and like hanging out and just having a blast, you know? It's like we get to watch my body change every 2 hours as each meal goes in and like it's really like the fun part of it, you know? It's like the work is done at that point. So like there's no reason to stress. Either you did it or you didn't.
Right. Yeah. What do you feel like is the reason that you and Moss were able to have you not shrink as opposed to other bodybuilders like Samson who, they'll dig hard and diet hard to get to this conditioning, but then you see them shrink on stage at a substantial amount from their previous shows.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I don't think it's a knock on Samson or anything, but I do think my training obviously keeps a fullness that's helps. And having Brett is a X factor that I don't think any other pro has. You know what I mean? Being able to train with somebody else that wants it as bad as I do, pushes as hard as I do. It's like, even when in those moments, especially this prep, we had him ready kind of early, so he got to eat at the end and like kept yo-yoing. So then it was like, I know Brett gets food today on leg day. I got to keep up with him. So like, there's just a standard that I have to match. And I think that helps a ton, right? Obviously. And then I think the other part of it is just how long I've been training like this, to where, like, I mean, I trained like this with Branch. I've had so many years of training kind of like a psychopath. Um, to where I think like this tissue is really gonna have to like be beaten off of me now at this point versus some of these other guys. It's very voluminous tissue, but as you diet down, it always shrinks. That's bound to happen. Especially with guys that grow quicker. So like, you've seen my physique, the change from Olympia last year to this year was a pound, maybe two max. If you really want to give it to me, you could say I gained like 4 or 5 pounds, and I was 2 or 3 pounds tighter. But on the scale, Olympia to Olympia, I was like 232 to 234. So, it's not like I made this drastic jump in tissue to where then you're like, oh my God, he shrunk so much. It's like, no, really, like, I'm pretty much the same size. Everything is just getting denser and harder and more refined. And then the more detail we get in it, the more it looks big.
Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, it seems like you and Boss were really on top of it and managing, looking at it every single day from a perspective of just how is your recovery and how much flattening out, I guess, is he seeing in your physique as you're doing this cardio, and then pulling back on the cardio and prioritizing training as well to make sure that you're maintaining all that muscle mass and maturity. I think those all are like very valuable points to focus on to prevent this from happening. But I know the shit's still tough, man, because it's like no matter what, it's always a balancing game, like finding that perfect middle ground. And I think that's the hardest thing for all these coaches and athletes. Like Patrick had that hard time with I'm trying to remember the other client he did it with, but with Logan Franklin, for example. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the judges wanted Logan to come in like fuller and bigger. So obviously the plan was like, all right, we're going to bring a fuller package. But then Olympia comes around and the judges didn't like that as much as they liked his build physique. Same thing with like Samson, but vice versa.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's like, I mean, it also depends on the day, and that's the craziest thing about bodybuilding is like, a lot of people were like, well, how did Samson lose or beat Martin at the Olympia when he was flat? And then he gets better and improves and is much fuller and much better. And Marty maybe got like 10% better at Prague versus like Samson's drastic jump. But then Marty beats him. It's like, one, you need to see it in person.
Yeah.
But two, sometimes, like you said, being in a hole, like, there's just no coming out of it in 2 weeks. Like, sometimes it takes longer to fix a mess up than that in bodybuilding. And that is the hard balancing act of like, hey, if the seesaw tips too far in one direction, it's really hard to get it to go back to center line. If anything, sometimes you end up seesawing it the other direction,
Yeah. Yeah. What exactly did you guys do in between Olympia and Prague aside from like because you mentioned that you kept out GH and testosterone, right? Completely.
Mhm.
That's wild to me, man. Thinking about keeping out testosterone for like 2.5. No, wait, no. Freaking what?
It's a
That's like
month.
4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a
Jesus
month,
Christ,
bro.
dude. What the hell? How did you survive that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, the last week I really started to feel like, okay, body's like going through it at this point. Haven't had tests long enough that like joints are achy, everything's achy, recovery is starting to take a hit. But one, training obviously was pulled back at that point because I was traveling and doing all those flights and everything like that. So
Mhm.
there was a bit of that to where it was like, yeah, I don't really need it because we're not going back to like 100% balls to the wall sessions in between
Mhm.
here. Um, and obviously you want to regulate that water retention slash fullness factor that you get with those things. Um, and besides that, man, like just trying to manage it for us was one, managing stress. My dog after the Olympia got like insanely sick, and we spent like
Mm.
24 hours in the veterinarian hospital in Vegas, and I thought she was gonna die on us.
Oh shit,
So
dude.
like that was, I'd already committed to the show. I already booked plane tickets, and then my dog decides to like almost kill herself. And so that was super stressful. Of like, one, we spent 2.5 extra days in Vegas that we weren't prepared to do. Then we got home and we had a 48-hour turnaround before I had to fly to Prague.
Hmm.
So in the midst of that, I'm also trying to fit in the training sessions, make sure that meals were perfect. But once we got on the plane to Prague, it was kind of like, all right, like we're back to doing this like we always do, travel, get there, hit the grocery store, make all my food, and we're ready to rock and roll. And like I already, because we'd been to Prague, I already stayed in that Airbnb last year. So it must be good luck. But I kind of knew where everything was. So it was like, we'll get there. I know where the grocery store is. I know I can get everything there. I know I have XYZ already at the Airbnb. So it was easy in that sense of like just being prepared. Also, Alexis is like super type A, so she has everything written down and everything mapped out, and like our days kind of somewhat in the planner already on like when we're gonna start my tan and all of those things, which also just helps ease my mind because I am not that way.
Mhm.
But it's nice to kind of see it visually written out and stuff. Um, so that also helps. And then also the other thing that helps me be pretty stress free is like having a partner that understands, it's like, hey, if I have to say like, hey, I'm going to go train right now, can you make me some chicken and stuff for when I get back? She can do that. And like, she wasn't doing the show, so she was willing to, even give me a little extra time comparatively to like last year where she was
Damn,
doing
that's
it as well.
awesome.
But yeah,
OG.
we work really well together, man, and that's kind of like, if there's anything that I would say is like my secret, it's truly just the people around me. Like how
Mm.
much Boss believes in me, how much Alexis believes in me, and how much like they're willing to give their all to this one singular goal. It's like it's pretty crazy that like, I mean, it takes a whole army to chase a Mr. Olympia down, if we're being honest.
Wow, dude. She's an MVP. Holy shit. That's awesome.
No, she's a baller, man. I couldn't ask for a better girl at home, to be honest. And not only on top of that, she still works as a nurse. She's still delivering babies and stuff like that.
Wow.
She, like I said, she does the baking, and she has her own little baking business. So she sells like 20 loaves of bread a week just to bring in extra cash because she's a hustler like that. And it's cool to just be like, everyone I'm surrounded by is like has endless work ethic, and that's something that I really take a lot of pride in. Like even my new camera guy, Cooper, um, you saw I mean, the movies are like the YouTubes are like movies for one.
Yep.
but two, like the kid never stops working. Like he's during the day as he's filming me, he's also editing it to where like
Whoa.
90% of those videos in Prague were done at like 8 p.m.
What the fuck? Holy
that day,
shit.
same day. Like if morning we filmed, and from at 8 p.m. the video was put together and edited and everything, bro.
Where
So
did you
like
find this guy?
he's in the
Asking for a
UK.
friend.
Yeah. No, he's
Holy
in the
shit.
UK, man. So he's definitely somebody that will be on my team forever now. And
Did you like fly him out?
yeah, so we're looking at actually trying to get him a visa and get him like fully here full time so he could film me fully.
Wow.
I have somebody that's gonna work with me until then and is also super good at what they do. So I'm excited to have Chloe as well on my team, but Coop is very, very special at what he does, especially the show day movies and these like the days leading into the show. Is like the best thing about him was that he captured so much without me having to really say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
just he caught the vibe, he gave the emotion with the music. And I didn't have to talk to the camera a bunch, which like at that point I was really ran down and super tired before we started carving up. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easier for me to be able to do that style with him. Obviously still have a camera on me, but not have to give so much to the camera, if you will.
Right. Speaking of carving up, what are the foods that you guys eat? Or I guess what are the food choices that are normally on your plan?
Yeah, I mean, for my carb up, we do a chicken and rice meal with what used to be pineapple. We actually pulled pineapple at the Olympia and went to banana instead.
Mm.
For a little bit of the potassium purposes, and also the pineapple was giving me some indigestion and like
Okay.
heartburn. So we just pulled that out. So I used bananas this time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's like literally no chicken. It's pretty much just rice. It's like a sprinkle of chicken just to help with hunger, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and then my other meal is cream of rice, rice milk, and almond butter. So it doesn't even have any protein in it. It's just cream of rice. Essentially, rice milk is a it's like oat milk, but it's rice based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just extra carbs. So it makes it a little more carb dense without adding too much volume to the actual meal itself.
Okay.
And then just almond butter.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, the one thing we did change was we swapped that meal out a couple times for the McDonald's French fries because
Yeah.
the fries are pretty similar in carbohydrate fat ratio.
Uh-huh.
So we just kind of use that same thing, just replace that meal instead.
Damn, brother, I gotta fucking ask Patrick if he can give me some French fries, dude.
Like McDonald's French fries made Marty look crazy. That's what we do.
Oh shit. How far out did you guys start the carb up?
So for Olympia, we started on Tuesday. For Prague, we started on Wednesday. So it's usually about 3 to 4 days out from the actual show day we'll start.
Was prejudging on different days on both shows?
Yeah. So Olympia was Friday, Prague was Saturday.
Saturday, right? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Now.
And so really it was the same process. It was just pushed back a day because of how Prague was set up.
Gotcha.
But so how we kind of do things is like we deplete me. And then that first carb up day that I start, I do meal number 1, which is just protein.
Mm-hmm.
We go train and completely deplete out, like try to just kill all glycogen stores, if you will. And prime the body to be able to absorb food. And then we start after that, like every hour and a half meals.
Oh, like training in the morning of Tuesday.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So we trained at like 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday
What'd you
of
hit?
Olympia. And we just do like one exercise of like everything.
Okay.
So it's like I don't hit any legs, but I do like one chest, one lateral raise, one front delt, one rear delt, one tricep, one bicep, one back, maybe 2 back, so I can hit like both areas of my back essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Fuck. Got me
yeah,
hyped for this show, bro. Fuck.
and then just deplete out like that, and then the second I'm like done training and posing, boss is like, okay, now we start eating, go. And so that day it's usually about 8 meals. Each one comes out to be like 100 to 120 carbs.
Okay.
And then the next day is
This
like,
is crazy, brother.
yeah, the next days
Fuck.
start in the morning and it's 10 meals. So it's like about 120 carbs every meal, and it's 10 meals. So it usually comes out to like 1,200, 1,400 carbs, depending on how he has it set up.
I don't think I've ever heard someone eating 10 meals.
It's a
Unless you're
fucking
talking about like
bitch, to
freaking
be
80s,
honestly.
90s
It's like,
bodybuilders.
it's such a,
Fuck.
it's like I literally have to put timers on my phone because like otherwise it just gets so spread out, and then it's like 10 o'clock at night and I'm like, fuck, I still have 3 meals. Like I can't
Right.
eat 300 carbs right now either.
Is there
So-
anything that you like supplement on top of that, like extra digestive enzymes, extra betaine, HCl, anything like that? Because your waist was tiny at Olympia, dude. It was crazy.
No, man, honestly, like it's just the food is so easily processed at that point. You know, there's such minimal protein. The carbs are all pretty much getting shuttled at that point. Water's still high enough that digestion is working really good. I think that that's one thing like a lot of guys make the mistake of is like trying to take too much water out, and then that really slows digestion. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, you still need that water to absorb those carbs and to like actually shuttle those to where you need them to be. So
Yeah.
you can't be scared of water during the carb up process. You just need to make sure at those final hours, those final 12 to 14 hours, that you make sure that you are drying out and not necessarily filling out at that point. Like it's once you're full, then it's time to start sucking it down, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh God, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. How much would you say, if you had to estimate by percentage, that y'all's protein goes down when the carb up starts?
Oh shit, bro. Like say if 5 ounces was 100%, then that literally go to like 5%
Wow.
protein intake. Yeah, like we it's almost 0 protein the last 3 days.
Wow. Okay, cool. I mean, that makes
So-
sense though. With the amount of food and carbohydrates that you're consuming, like it makes all the sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we're not in protein synthesis. You're not really breaking muscle down at that point. We're just trying to like fill glycogen stores up and stuff. And he does it different with other people. Like William, he always does a big steak the night before prejudging because the protein and the triglycerides actually make William look full and look good.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? How some people just react completely differently to completely different foods.
No, it's
and
it's
macros.
super fascinating
It's
because like
crazy.
I honestly think Brett would probably benefit from that too.
Yeah.
Whereas my body's just so different. Like my body's a carb loving machine.
But
so
Brett
it's
has an
like,
experiment with that.
no, we haven't yet. No, that's something I think that we'll look into is adding. I think for him, I'd like to see him try the potato as well. And then I would like to see him add some red meat just because I think the triglycerides would give him a more intracellular fullness.
I want to talk to Patrick about this because we have an experiment with this, but I feel like it's worked with bass coaches where I feel like I respond to fats a little bit better when it comes to the like getting a proper level of fullness, but without spilling over. Do you know anyone that's like that? Like,
There's
any
actually, I
athletes
mean,
that-
a lot of people are like that. Even Alexis is.
I do know. Yeah.
Yeah, Alexis is even more like that. But somebody that was like diehard about that was Tony Freeman. He would like his carb up was like maybe 200 carbs, but he just did a shitload of fats. And he always looked really good and always stayed really tight, and his stomach always stayed really small. So it just kind of depends on how you digest. For me, I can digest certain fats really well and in moderation. If you try to go too high of a fat in one meal, my digestion instantly like slows down like a motherfucker. So I have to kind of find that gauge of like what is too much fat to where my digestion is so slow that like one, I can't eat the next meal, but two,
the actual digestion, like you almost feel like you're not absorbing everything because it slows down so much, you know?
Right. Does y'all's fat go up any significant amount whenever you do start the filling out process for you?
A decent bit, yeah. I would say, like, on average, going into it, I was having like 30 grams of almond butter throughout the day.
Okay.
And then total for like carb up days is like 80 to 120 grams of almond butter. So like almost triple the fats,
Okay. Wow.
somewhere in there, double to triple, depending on the day.
Yeah. I definitely need to communicate with Patrick. I feel like our fats don't go up hardly at all. Like maybe like
That's,
25.
I would
Like
say that's what holds on to, like, I mean, I could eat a million carbs, but because my metabolism is so fast, like
you need a
within
base,
2 hours, I'm flat again.
right?
If
Yeah.
it was just carbs.
Yeah, that shit
So
would run through
we,
you without the fats.
yeah, so we have to use the fats just to be able to hold on to it enough. So that was actually Alexis's suggestion was like, maybe we add more fats after the Olympia. And that was where I was like, honestly, like, I think we should try the potato because it has more fats, but also the starch gives me a different kind of fullness than the rice does.
Okay.
And I liked the look. You know, also you have a little bit higher potassium in there, which is fine for me, and it's not a risk at all because I don't take any potassium sparing diuretics. So it's not a problem to push potassium kind of in that higher direction, and like it's not dangerous, if you will. Um, but it gives me a harder look. So that's something that we also kind of wanted to focus on, you know?
Okay. Cool. That's cool to know. What exactly does the depletion phase look like for you? Like how many days? What is the activity looking like? How much does your food drop if it drops any?
Yeah, so it doesn't really drop. We just kind of keep the baseline usually at that point, and just kind of ride it in for like 3 or 4 days so that we make sure that I'm kind of at that point where it's like, okay, we've pushed the body really hard and it's really ready to soak up food. It's kind of been different, all of them going into it. But obviously, Prague and Olympia were very similar because they were so close. But for those, we did zeros going in, and then obviously, you know, deplete that morning, like I said, and then start eating up. And that was, we were a little bit worried or like a little bit on the fence on like, should we introduce carbs maybe a day or two earlier at like 100 or like 50, just to see how the response is on the stomach, because we haven't had carbs for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Like actually no carbs?
Yeah. I was doing pro veg. That's it, bro. So
Oh shit.
yeah, so we did
We're
that
gonna have
for
2 weeks on no carbs whatsoever.
yeah.
What was the
So
protein
like
and fats at?
like I said, fats was like about 30 grams of almond butter in a day, so like probably like 16 grams of fat total.
What?
And then what I was getting from my protein, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't eat, we don't have any red meat or anything, so all my meat is very lean, either 99.1 turkey or chicken.
Is there a reason for no red meat?
So one, it's to be able to control our fats more. So if he wants me to have fats with a meal, we add it with like avocado or almond butter instead. And then keep the protein the same. Some athletes he does use red meat with. I think for us in the beginning, I was using a lot of red meat, and we thought we could reduce my waist size by pulling some of that back. And then we just saw that I really didn't lose any fullness, really didn't lose any muscle tissue by getting rid of the red meat. So we were just like kind of rolled with it. And then I noticed by cutting the red meat out, my digestion became a lot better, like more efficiently, honest.
Do you know why that is, or is that just something specifically
I mean,
from your
I mean,
protein?
I think some of it is probably just person dependent, but I think for me, the protein was digesting slower because I like to eat my red meat a little bit raw.
I like it to be, you
Same.
know, like, so I think that that's also a little bit harder for us to process. You
That
know,
makes
the
sense.
more cooked a meat is, the easier it is for it to go through the digestive tract, essentially.
Fuck, that sucks.
Same thing with vegetables is like eating a raw Brussels sprout is going to make you like super farty and all those things, or like same thing with broccoli. But if you were to air fry it until the point it's like almost crispy, you won't see any of those effects on the digestive tract because you've already started that breakdown process. You've already started to break down the dietary fiber in the actual vegetable. So same thing with meats, as you cook it, you're starting to break those bonds and make it easier for your body to essentially break it down and
Yeah.
absorb it quicker, you know. So
Yeah.
like a red meat, you know, it's like I love a raw steak, but how good is that for the digestive tract when
Yeah.
it's sitting in there for 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah. That's true. I just love that shit rare though, bro. It's so fire.
Yeah, oh,
At least medium rare, at the
yeah,
least.
yeah. You got to have medium rare at least for sure.
Fuck. That's it's funny because I kind of already knew that too, but it's like I just could not stop eating medium rare 96
Yeah, I
ground
mean,
beef because the shit's
that's
so
and
fucking
that's
fire.
for me honestly
Like,
it was easier to say I'll eat because he was like you could do like 97.3 beef and just drain the fat
mhm.
it, or whatever like that, and it's like honestly, man, like at that point I would just rather eat chicken because like beef at that point is kind of dry, kind of tastes like shit. It's not really like that great. It's like beef
Yeah.
is good when it's like juicy and raw, and so so it was like it was kind of like it was easier for me to honestly stay with the lean protein and just add the fats as well because like I really like avocado and stuff too. So it's not that hard for me to make those changes.
Gotcha. That makes sense then. For the before we ask the Q&A real quick, which I think we should totally rapid fire, but what was the last thing I was gonna ask? Oh, dude, I'm just so shocked that you were able to, I guess, just handle literally like that low of food and zero carbs with how crazy your metabolism is. Like, how did you
Yeah.
guys manage that, doing that for so long without you like flattening out like crazy or just shrinking down? And how were you able to like even deal with the hunger with that situation? Because like if you're consuming fucking what 400 grams of carbs on a daily basis for prep, and then all of a sudden you drop to zero, I don't know, man. I feel like that would shock me in every fucking part of my body.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough, man, but like one, I'm not super food driven person. So for me, as long as I have an end goal or something to like really focus on, I can kind of avoid that hunger. And I think that's probably just grown up wrestling and kind of always cutting weight. And like how we cut weight was definitely way worse dieting than I do in bodybuilding. It was just like starve myself for 4 days until I made weight. And then as soon as you make weight, then you eat like a fat shit, you know? So like
Yeah.
that mentally part is like super easy for me. I honestly enjoy dieting. I kind of like the suffer of it. Um, the only thing that was really hard to manage was the body fatigue. I've noticed each prep as I put on more muscle, the actual tissue begging for calories is much stronger feeling than the actual stomach asking for calories.
Mm.
So it's like for me, my leg fatigue and body fatigue gets like so high, I get grumpy.
Ah.
Um, and that's just kind of like me managing it. Like the one thing is obviously Alexis understands, but she knows if I'm quiet that I'm probably just at that point. So it's like just kind of leave me alone. If I'm super quiet, then it's kind of I'm in my zone and I'll just kind of deal with it like that. And then for me, like my favorite part of the day is training. So no matter what, even when food is low, it's like, yo, you get to do this. Remember that like
Yeah.
you used to have to wake up at 6 in the morning, go work 12 hours construction, and then you got to go lift weights. Like now your job is just to go lift weights, bro. Like it's not really like there's much, much worse, you know? And I think having that background makes it so much easier sometimes to even just trick yourself
Yeah.
and just be able to say like, bro, you built houses and did this. Remember that. Like you carried 20-foot boards for hours on end and then went and trained legs afterwards, or like mixed 100 bags of concrete, poured those bags of concrete and still went and did chest after that. Like I did that. So for me, the pushing thing is not that hard, especially because like my body is pretty efficient, so I don't get the cortisol response very often. So I kind of can see daily the results coming from the suffering, if you will.
Gotcha.
So that also makes it easier for me. It's like obviously, you know, it's like yesterday was super hard. We hit a new low, and then I look at my check-in video and I'm like, oh, I see that like abs are tighter. I see that like I have new veins running up my quads. I have this new striation here. Those all just kind of make it that much easier for me to be like, okay, yeah, we can keep leaning into this, keep pushing into
Yeah.
it. And there was definitely a few days where I was like, hey, like training was absolutely fucking garbage today. Like I couldn't feel a thing. And boss was like, yeah, but like looking at your video post training, you're not that flat. So like just mentally dig, you know? And it's like, okay, like I know he's not gonna let me disappear, so I also trust in him enough to like say like, okay, if he says I'm really not going that flat, then I'm probably not going that flat. And
Gotcha.
it's just in my head, you know?
Did you guys do this depletion phase for Pittsburgh too?
Yep.
Wow. Wow, bro.
For Pittsburgh, I think we were at like 50 or 75 carbs though. We didn't go all the way to 0.
Okay.
But it was very similar.
Well, I think you were the most conditioned one on stage, bro, at Olympia. I really do. I feel like the only other person I could think of potentially was Tonio, but you
Yeah.
two were
Yeah, he
just
was peeled too, man. Tony looked really good as well at the Olympia.
yeah.
No, yeah, man. That's something that I take a lot of pride in, bro. Like, that's something that like I said, I want to be known for that. I want to be the conditioning guy.
Me too. I
So
get it.
I'm definitely willing to lean into that even a little harder than I think some guys are in the chase. Like I said, I know I'm never gonna be the biggest guy on stage, bro. Like that's not really my goal, you know. And that's
Yeah.
I've watched some interviews from Phil. He did a Cutler cast that was really good, where he kind of talked about that and was like, "Look, I knew I was going against Jay. Like I was never gonna be bigger than Jay. Jay weighed 275 pounds. I weighed 232 pounds. Like." I was never gonna be bigger than Jay, so there had to be a different approach on like what bodybuilding is for me, and that's kind of the same way I feel is like, yo, like I know if I try to push my physique to 270 pounds, all I'm gonna do is have a shit waist. It's gonna blow the lines that I like that makes my physique look cool, and it's also gonna take away from my extremities because like that weight has to go somewhere. So like
Yep.
even if the extremities grow, the midsection is gonna grow, and it's the X factor is not gonna be the same. So I kind of like I have to take a different approach than that. Like some people's physiques that just works, you know, the bigger they get, the better they get.
Mhm.
Sometimes we kind of have to be strategic on like what's worth it and what's not. And there's probably, I think my physique, I think the biggest I can probably be is like 245, and then you're gonna start to see diminish on return
Mhm.
in somewhere, which in you know that's where sometimes you have to make a sacrifice. Like, okay, is it worth it to have bigger legs if my waist grows just a little bit at this point?
Mhm.
But when I get to 245, I think it's somewhere in there, maybe even 240. There'll be a point where I kind of have to start asking myself those questions, like, okay, in the pursuit of getting better, is it better to chase 3 to 5 more pounds, or is it better to try to bring my waist in and lose a little bit of weight and just try to build on the actual shape itself, you know?
Yeah. Holy crap. For Prague, did you guys do this depletion phase again?
Yep.
How long was
Yep.
it for this time? Since I know you guys only had 2 weeks to kind of fit everything in.
It was kind of it was pretty similar. It was like I said, we flew there on Monday. So from that Sunday to Wednesday was pretty much zeros. Before that, I think that Saturday he fed me just a little bit, and it was mostly because the stress was so high from our dog, from Bonnie getting sick,
Yeah.
that he was kind of worried about me losing too much weight on the flight over, because I'd already hit like 2 lows in a row. That Thursday and that Friday. And then so going into Saturday, he was like, okay, our last training session at home, let's shuttle a little bit of food in, because I always lose somewhere between like 2 to 5 pounds when I fly overseas. And he was like, if we get another 5-pound low, like you might be so flat when we get there that like it's going to be a rescue mission. So like, let's not get to that point. Let's keep you just above that point. So he was like, I want you to eat on Saturday, and then when you fly, when you land in Frankfurt, send me pictures. And if we need to kind of start eating, because I got there at like 10 in the morning or something, and then from Frankfurt to Prague is only an hour flight.
Okay.
So it was like, send me pictures when you get there. Your morning will start. And we can kind of decide, hey, do we need to give a little bit of food to try to get back to where we need to be? Like, did I flatten out too much? And the food on Saturday kind of held me over. We were right at that tipping point pretty much when we got to Frankfurt. It was like, damn, I'm flat as shit coming off the plane, but also I'm a little bit dehydrated because of not trying to drink too much water and not try to get water retention on the flight XYZ. So we knew, okay, today if I get all my water in, get my 10 grams of salt in, we should have still an okay response, enough to where Tuesday we can wake up, I'm not too flat, we can deplete where we want to deplete to, and then be in a perfect spot for Wednesday to be able to feed up. So it's really, I mean, a lot of it's just playing it by ear and just obviously discussing things with coach back and forth, and him knowing my body really well. You know, especially like with the flight thing, you know, it's a lot of people would be like, oh, we'll be fine. But it's like, no, like, I know this is how I fly every time. I eat my meals a certain way when I fly because I know that I don't hold water that way. And so because of that, we've kind of just always kept that idea of like, we know that I'm probably going to lose 3 to 5 pounds when we fly. So let's try to factor that into the equation.
Got it. Do you mind me asking what PEDs that you guys did keep in from Olympia to Prague? Since I know since you took out test and GH.
Yeah. So we kept. I actually used Parabolan this prep instead of Tren. But so I did that in mass.
How did you feel about that, by the way, if you don't mind me?
I think it's honestly probably the best that I've ever felt.
Okay, that's awesome.
On a Tren molecule.
I've heard this before.
Yeah. It was just like minimal side effects, but also I always feel a little bit on edge with Tren Ace, or a little bit of anxiety, and I felt like that was kind of eliminated with the Tren Hex.
Okay.
Or Parabolan, if you will. But yeah, so that kept that in, did Mass P as well, and then we kept Anavar and Winstrol in. And Proviron, I guess, because that we started that a week out from the Olympia, and then we just left. I just left that in as well.
You don't happen to know why Boss introduces it a week out, do you?
So I mean, really, Proviron's not super effective, like multiple weeks in a row. Because what you're doing is just pulling stuff off the receptor to then it be replaced with something else, right? So unless you're like taking a decent bit of orals and kind of in that spot, there's no reason to take Proviron every day, in my opinion.
Okay. Cool. Wow. Damn, bro. You don't happen to know what your estrogen was during that time, like when the test was out, or do you? Or how you guys
Oh,
managed
it's
that?
probably 0 because I take I end up using a little bit of letrozole at the end.
Okay.
So I've always done that, and
Yeah.
it's always been super effective.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen my look with just other anti-estrogens, and there's definitely a skin texture change when I take letrozole.
Okay.
It's a drier, thinner skin texture.
Do you feel anything from that though, like taking that
Oh,
as
I
opposed
feel like an absolute bag of assholes. It's like there's truly zero emotion in my body. So
that's funny as shit.
it's definitely a lot harder. Like
Yeah.
just even like giving someone emotion of like that's cool is like more like yeah, that's awesome. Dude.
That's hilarious. I've been there for the
that's
past.
that's probably the only thing. Like letro, that feeling, and it also makes training a lot harder because you can feel the joints are dry and shitty, and so we only try to use that for about 7-ish days. Also going into a show, I think for Olympia was like 7 days. For Prague, it ended up being like 10 because we dropped it for like 2 or 3 days coming out of the Olympia and then put it back in. Just because we saw that my skin texture changed again, and we were like, no, we want it to be back to where it was.
Man, as crazy as it is, sometimes you got to do the hardcore shit in bodybuilding to really get the best achievement or the best fucking outcome. Sometimes you don't, but sometimes you freaking do, man. Like
it's definitely a give and take, bro. There's definitely no rhyme or reason for like why sometimes being all the way hardcore works and why sometimes being hardcore your body like fights you tooth and nail. But you just kind of like, I mean, it truly is that every day you wake up and your body kind of tells you what you're gonna do. You just you gotta match its attitude, you know?
Yeah. I've been experiencing a lot of the same things being with Patrick now as you, and going through these very like period of times of like very, very, very low food, and then suddenly I'm eating a fuck ton of food. And also in the last 7 weeks, since I've been doing 3 shows 3 weeks apart each, like just estrogen has just been so fucking low, man.
Yeah.
My joints hurt. I feel fucking emotionless.
Emotion is just gone. And your girlfriend's like cuddling on you, and you're like, I love you, but it's not like I don't feel anything. The nice thing is like Alexis completely understands, and like her old coach was kind of shitty and put her on letrozole, so she also knows like what that feels like to be on letro.
What is it like for a woman to be on that shit?
Yeah, I mean,
no
fuck
estrogen
you. Most women that only know that are breast cancer patients, So like, but so she's like, I mean, like it made me completely emotionless, so I'm sure it makes you that way. And I'm like, yeah, no, it makes me feel like a complete asshole because I like my grandma can call me and tell me she loves me, and I'm like, yeah, grandma, I love you too.
Yeah, grandma.
Yeah. Like normally I'm like, oh, granny, I love you so much.
That's funny as shit, dude. That's hilarious.
Like, yeah, I'm dead inside. It's okay.
If you feel like any of the medications that we spoke about today may benefit you, such as BPC 157, GH secretagogues such as Tesamorelin, IGF1, oxandrolone troche, Semaglutide, then you can obtain these from Transcend HRT, and the link for that will be in the bio. If you feel like you're experiencing symptoms of low testosterone, such as depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, as well as lack of sex drive, then you can get this checked out as well by getting your blood work done at Transcend, and they will provide you expert medical analysis. Transcend HRT has worked with many professional bodybuilders and pro athletes, such as Thor Bjornsson, Phil Heath, and Jeremy Buendia. And if you feel like this podcast has any relevancy to you, I do believe that this clinic will provide of great benefit to you as well.
I guess if some people are going through some tough shit, though, at least, a little letrozole is going to help blunt that a little. A little
definitely.
Dead.
definitely will kill your emotions. So if you're going through it and you're super sad, just take some Letrol and you'll not feel anything.
Some Lecho, some Halo, some Super Joel. That's all we need.
Yeah, then you'll want to run through a wall.
Chase Irons asks, what did he say to Nick Walker on stage at the Mr. O prejudging when they turned to the back?
I told him he was looking pretty fat.
Did you really?
Yeah, 100%.
Holy shit.
You got to talk a little shit.
That's crazy. That's fucking hilarious. Oh, man. That's epic. That's fucking savage as shit.
I mean, he did the same thing to me at Pittsburgh, so
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a little
Gotcha.
poke back at the bear, you
Gotcha.
know?
That's fire. Stone Moses asks, how does training with Brett work? They both have different things to improve. Very curious. Expand, please.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, like, obviously we've been doing this long enough that we kind of know each other's weak points and we know what each other has. What the hell?
What the hell?
It keeps saying low device storage. Device storage is running low. You should stop recording. But I don't have any device storage because I'm not recording.
Oh, shit.
So is it your thing that's saying that?
I don't know. Well, we'll just do this really quick. We'll just
Yeah,
finish this
no,
up.
it's all good. So shit. Well, so I mean, like, yeah, we do have different things to improve on, but we also have some of the same things to improve on. Like, my back still needs to improve in the lats. He also still needs lats. Both of us still both need to really improve our arms. His chest is obviously crazy, and my chest needs to improve. But that's kind of the cool thing about us training together in that sense. In the opposite direction is he doesn't need to focus super hard on his chest. So in those moments of training chest, he naturally presses through his chest. He naturally keeps those cues. So I don't really have to be on him or tell him to be focusing on those things.
Mhm.
And in those moments, he can kind of give me full attention and be able to push me and really focus on me being the main focus on those chest days. And the kind of vice versa for us going into the back days is like only my lats really need to improve. So yeah, I'm focused on that portion. But for the back day, most of the focus goes on Brett in making sure that his movement pattern is perfect, making sure his elbow drive is right, all of those things. And then legs were pretty much equal and really don't need to improve like front or back, just kind of continuously improve the legs in general.
Okay.
And so that side of things on those days, we just get to be competitive. It's like, I got 12, so you better get 13. And so that part of it really works for us too, because we both came from sports backgrounds. So that competitive nature of pushing each other, we build off of that. And then we're still great bodybuilders in the sense of we know what we need to improve on. So there's obviously moments and times when it's like, hey, on a chest day, Brett still wants to improve his delts a lot more. So he might do 3 of the 5 chest movements I do, and then he's going to do 3 delt movements when I don't really need much delt. So I'm just going to catch him on that last delt movement when he's doing laterals, and I'm going to get a few sets of laterals in. And then he's going to come over in between his sets of shoulder press and come spot me on another chest press because I don't really need front delt as much as I need chest.
Got it.
And so we make those sacrifices, and we kind of veer from each other every once in a while to then end up coming back to the same point at the end of the session. But at the end of the day, both our progressions are important to one another. So we both feel a responsibility to make sure that the other guy's improving. And because of that, we take it very seriously in the gym on, hey, bro, like, he's always on me about chest posture and keeping my sternum up and making sure that I'm not tucking my chin, because then I'll roll my shoulders forward and use my front delts. And I'm kind of the same way with him on his back posture things of like, hey, chin needs to be up, chest needs to be high. We need to be rowing through those lats versus shrugging. And in those moments when he does those things, you know, I'm calling him out just like he's calling me out on the chest stuff. So that's how we make it work. It's obviously, it would be more ideal if we had the same exact weak body parts, but in that sense also, like I said, then I don't think we could give each other as much focus as we do now, because we would be trying to focus on that weaker body part at the same time versus being able to kind of help one another make those changes.
That's cool. I like that. Makes sense. Andrew B asks, what mindset or fuel do you use to get through mentally hard times?
I mean, so one of the things I talked about was like just knowing that like this is a privilege at this point. Like, yeah, it's hard in like relativity if you want to speak like that, but like there's way harder shit out there. There's working construction 78 hours a week. There's people out there that are like starving to death, and we get to eat 6 meals a day and train for a job, you know? So like I think a lot of it is perspective. And if you can kind of put yourself in the right perspective, you can make any situation feel better than it is, or actually feel how it's supposed to feel versus like you making it more than it is. And I would say the other thing to that is like still knowing your why and your greater purpose. Like everything is hard in life. You're always going to have challenges and difficulties and things that come your way, whether it's bodybuilding or whether it's life or your job. But knowing why you have to get through that obstacle, or the reason that you want to get through that obstacle, always makes it easier to push through and chase that down. You know, for me, I want to be Mr. Olympia. There's nothing I want to do more, but I also want to change the sport in the direction that I see fit for bodybuilding. And that's more classic style body, more, you know, classical poses and beautiful lines and really finer details. And so, you know, a lot of those times in that moments of the conditioning part of like, we were pushing it and it was hard, and I was actually hungry this year for the first time in many years and stuff like that. I knew that like it was all to come in with this conditioning that would, you know, make guys like you really appreciate it and go like, damn, like Marty did something different here than he's done before.
Got it. Simply Browning asks, when's the mustache coming back?
Man, everybody loves the mustache. It's so funny. Alexis hates the mustache. So
She hates it.
it's like it's always a funny joke. I always have the beard usually to hide my face and like my diet face and stuff.
The diet face.
Especially because like when I go home and see my family, my granny's always like, my great grandma's always like, you look so skinny, honey. You look like you're starving. You know, when I have the sunken face. So I always try to keep the beard around a little bit, especially for those moments. But
that's funny.
then pre-show, I always fuck around with the mustache a little bit. But to be honest, man, I think for stage, I'll probably always do the clean shaven thing. I just think like it's prim and proper and pretty, and it's still a beauty pageant. And I still want to just look my like most clean shaven cut, you know.
I get it too. I was doing clean shaven for the last 2 shows, but this weekend I'm gonna keep growing this one out.
Ooh,
let's go. Just for the last one.
Let's go.
Bring it back. This is funny. GTI Hanov asks, is it true that Brazilians are the most PED abusers?
No.
That's a straight answer.
I would say Germans are just close up there. I would say Russians are close up there.
I could see Russians.
And Iranians are pretty fucking nuts with what they run as well. So
I could see that.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, man, like bodybuilders are crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're all abusers throughout each country. It just
Yeah.
depends on whose stack you
Right.
got a picture of.
For sure. I feel like who was it? I think Dora told me too. Like in Iran and in the Middle East, it's like a life-saving sport there
Yeah.
too. So the guys are just like, it's life or death. I
Yep.
either get to Olympia or I'm dead. So
Yep.
uh,
100%.
Kate Griffith asks typical off-season diet and cycle.
I mean,
much-
cycles, tests, and
You've talked about
EQ.
that before, right? Yeah, you always say like
Yeah.
the 750 test and then
Very
like what? Yeah,
literally, that's it right there. 750 test, 600 to 800 EQ, and a little bit of growth hormone, like 4 to 6 IUs, and that's it, man. As far as food goes, again, similar to what I do on prep, just more. So, it's lean proteins. I add fats to roughly out of the 7 meals, it's usually 3 to 4. Get some fats added to them. And usually around training, we try to keep it pretty minimalistic. And then as far as carbs go, like I said, it just slowly tapers up from coming out of a show. It'll be, 400 or 500, and then make another little jump of 200-300 carbs, and then make another little jump of 150-200 carbs, and so on and so forth, until we get to a point where I tell boss if he feeds me anymore, I'm gonna punch him in his face.
How much are you eating at that point?
It's usually
How
I
many carbs?
usually get to like 1,000 carbs, and then I start to.
Oh fuck!
It's usually like, especially it's usually I get there, and then we spend like a week or two there. And then I'm like, yo, every day this is like a full-time job. Just like, it's like I have to focus and like pay attention and be on my shit about time and stuff, or what's like, you miss even an hour, and then it's like you're up until midnight just trying to get food, So it's one of those things where it's like it just becomes your whole day is eating, because it's
Eating and
40
digesting.
minutes to finish the meal, and then you only have an hour before you got to start the next one practically, So that's when it gets hard, but for the most part, like like I said, I'm not super food driven, but I'm also not like in the opposite direction where I'm like scared of food, so it's kind of just part of the process for me until it gets to that point, and then I'm like, okay, I hate this.
Yeah, that's I was struggling already with just 500 grams of carbs in my off season. You're fucking doing twice that much, man. So that's insane.
Yeah, bro. No, it definitely gets difficult for sure.
What are your food choices normally? Your standard food choices in the off season?
So we
like rice and chicken and any fruits, veggies.
Blended, or like ground turkey or ground chicken. I try to, in the off season, I start going towards a lot more ground meat just because I feel like it's easier to digest. And then my carb choices are almost 100% rice at that point when food's that high, because it's just if I eat potato, then I'm like, fuck, my next meal I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat this motherfucker. Whereas if I do rice, I can usually consistently stay pretty on top of it. And then the other thing we implement a bit more of that I feel like a lot of coaches don't is as those carbs get super high, he'll adjust and add a lot more fruit. And I think it just makes it easier to get the other carbs down, because I'll add like fruit to cream of rice and stuff like that.
Okay.
But then 2, obviously the fructose is obviously super good for like liver glycogen stores and things like that as well. So it's just another good option for you, as well as then doing berries and things like that are good antioxidants as well.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure having the food variety helps with digestion in the GI tract in the long run.
Exactly.
I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to pick and choose because you got a lot of questions, of course, which I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Worse, bro.
Ollie Wallace says, first he says, Martin, you're my favorite bodybuilder. But then he says, was there ever a point that you doubted yourself?
Yeah, man. After the Arnold in 22, I called Brett and told him, like, I'm done bodybuilding. I'm going back to construction. I don't feel like they were rewarding what I wanted them to reward. And in hindsight, I was just angry and didn't get the result I wanted, so I was going through it. But at that time, yeah, man, I was really, really struggling. One, I was at a point where Brett and I were separated. He was in Denver, or he was actually in Florida at that point, and I was in Texas. And he's a lot of my mental reassurance, or a lot of my help in knowing and believing in myself. If I can give anyone credit for that, it's him, because he's kind of, he's believed in me since 2019. And so it's always a little bit easier when you have one of your crew around you or whatever. So I was in the Arnold, UK. I was alone over there by myself and shit. And so I definitely had a moment of like, I'm done bodybuilding. I can't make it. I haven't made any money at this. At least in construction, I was making fat money, and I was pretty much at the point where I owned the construction company before I left.
Wow.
So I was the boss. I was picking the jobs. We were building decks. We were doing remodels, and I really loved what I did. It just wasn't conducive with bodybuilding. So in that moment, I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I don't love bodybuilding as much as I used to. Maybe I'll go back and do this. And um, Brett absolutely ripped my ass up one side and down the other, and was like, "You're stupid. I don't want to hear any of this shit come out of your mouth again.
Let's go.
Like, you're gonna come home, you're gonna get back to training, and like 2023 is gonna be just fine, you know." And it was, man, he was exactly right. It was just a moment of weakness that I needed to get through and have those feelings. And that's why you have best friends, so that you can let emotions like that out, and they can tell you that you're stupid, or that you're in the wrong, or whatever, and then you get through them. But definitely had moments in bodybuilding, more than one, but that one specifically comes to mind, where I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna walk away from this, and this isn't for me. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. And
Gotcha.
then, to be where I'm sitting now. So definitely, if you're questioning yourself, just keep doing what you're doing. I promise it's probably just a mental breakdown. You just need a little time.
Yeah. Sorry, brother. Lemon lime stir. Fire. Tips you would give someone trying to make it in the sport.
Biggest thing is who you surround yourself with. I can't preach that enough. You don't have to have a top level coach. It doesn't need to be Patrick or Boss, but you need to have somebody that believes in you a lot, obviously has a good knowledge base. And then the X factors are like the things I've talked about today, Brett, Alexis, all those things that just make the other side of bodybuilding easier. If the people around you understand it, the people around you love it, are passionate about it, it just makes it that much easier to be successful in it. I've had girlfriends in the past that were negative about bodybuilding or didn't love it as much. And just having that as your home life starts to leak into your brain and starts to feed some of those demons that are telling you that you're not good enough, or that you're not going to make it, and those things. So you just kind of, like I said, perspective is huge. And then literally everyone that you allow into your life has an effect on your personality, on your mood, on your perspective. So just keep that in mind.
I like that, man. The last one is very special because it's tough to, I think, filter out certain people, especially if they're close to you, they're your friends, maybe they're a family member or even your own partner. And I think it can be tough to do that when it's someone that, you take care of and you care for, or that you love or anything. But if it's someone that I think isn't the best suit for your mindset moving forward, or doesn't contribute to your purpose and you growing into your goals, then it's something that I think you really got to second guess and be like, is this person deserving of being in your life?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think
man.
that's a
And
good one.
it's not necessarily like, yo, you got to cut him out and you can never talk to him again. It's just like, yo, remember that the people closest to you also have such a drastic effect on your mood, on your confidence, on your personality, on your perspective. And like, man, if you have somebody that's negative around you with that negative perspective, like it will leak into you, I promise. Like as much as we talk about it, like there you see the videos on Instagram, it's like, yo, one drop of food coloring can turn a whole glass of water a whole different color. And like that's what one negative person can do to an entire group. So just remember that, man. Like those things are really, really special.
Yeah, I agree. If you were to disappear from the world tomorrow and you had one message you could send to the entire world today, what would the message be?
And that one's deep. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things I would want to send a message to, but since we're on the topic right now, it's like love the people that love you as much as they love you. Like give back to them as much as they give to you, cuz like it's really easy to take and it's really easy to accept love.
Yeah.
But like remember in those moments that like they deserve it back as much as you deserve it in those moments, right? So that's something in the last like 2 years that I've really tried to pride myself on, and like it's something that I know Brett and I both take a lot of pride in, is like we both give to each other as much as we take from each other. And that's what you want out of every relationship, but it doesn't usually happen that way. So like
Yep.
just try to like even try to be the person that's the one that gives too much, because like it will come back in the end, I promise.
Hell yeah, brother. I couldn't be more aligned with that. I think that was a perfect answer. Thanks for coming on, brother. Really.
Yeah, of course,
This was a gift and a blessing to be able to do this podcast with you. I can't even explain just how happy and excited I was for you when I saw you at Olympia and just absolutely built just this fucking filthy, disgusting package, bro. So
means the world, bro. No, like I said, bro, like guys like you that love this and just have so much passion for it, man. Like I always have time for you guys, because this is I love this shit so much, man. I truly don't know what the fuck I would do without bodybuilding. So
same, bro.
I'm so grateful and so thankful, and like that the fact that I have people that want to ask questions and like look up to me in the way they do, or say I'm their favorite bodybuilder and stuff, is still just completely crazy to me, because like I'm just a gym bro that like I'm good at it. You know what I mean? Like I truly just love this from like the same standpoint as like all of you guys that like just fell in love with it from lifting weights in high school, or like with the bros in college. Like I was the same exact way, man. Like there was even a point in my life when we went to the gym and like got a pump so that we could go to the bar and look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was still like I'm still one of the boys. So like that part of it to me is so cool, man. Like I love this shit so much, and like the fact that I got to make a career out of it is still crazy to me, because I did work hard jobs and I did work real jobs, and like I did work in a pharmacy as an intern, and I fucking hated it. And I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. So the fact that like I get to do this now, man, like it's the coolest thing ever, man. And having guys like you that want to like share my story or get info for me, like I'm so happy to give it, because like I wouldn't be here without bodybuilding. So like if I can give even one person enough advice to be able to chase this and make something of it, man, like that means the world to me.
I love that, man, and I really appreciate that. There's not very many people that are as real as you and as open as you, and I think that is really, I think that really just changes the world, and I think it really provides so much value for all of us that are listening and that follow you and that look up to you, man. So I really appreciate it.
Always, bro. Like I said, you got my number, man. If you ever need to text me or anything, you always know you can hit me up. So whatever you need. I want you to kill this next show, bro. Can't wait to see the results, man. And if you, like I said, if you need anything or you want some more advice on prep side of things, you just hit me up on the back end, bro.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Is there
Of
anything
course.
you'd like to promote or anywhere people can find you? Anything?
I mean, you guys can find me on Instagram, man. You guys, you can support me however you want to support me. There's links in my bio and all that fun stuff, but there's nothing I want to push to you guys. You guys support me enough by just being a part of the journey and following along, man. And that's what means the world to me. So we can change the world one day at a time. That's all we can do. We can't rush it. So let's just keep doing what we're doing and having fun while we're doing it.
Hell yeah. All right, let's go. Thanks,
All
brother.
right, brother.
I'll catch you soon, man.
Yes, sir. I'm going to go eat some soup with Alexis. And
Yeah.
relax.
Later,
All right,
bro.
bub. Catch you later.